soldier jumped on top of the person to subdue them until federal law enforcement was able to arrive.
And Secretary Driscoll presented medals to the soldiers who stopped the suspect and provided care to the injured. The suspect, identified as 28-year-old Sergeant Cornelius Radford from Jacksonville, Florida. He was a logistics sergeant assigned to the 2nd Brigade Combat Team. He had been at that base for about 3 years. 5 soldiers injured. 3 have been released from the hospital. No word yet on a motive. Much warmer today with a high of 85. What can we expect weather-wise for your weekend? WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That comes your way at 12:05. This just in, WSB's Veronica Waters just now telling me that a Fulton County judge has denied bond for the woman accused of killing South Fulton police captain Elio Garcia in April. Police said that Santeria McLean was driving drunk when she is accused of crossing lanes on Flat Shoals Road, slamming into Garcia's police cruiser head-on. Parents, listen up. This is a story you need to hear. A study by an internet watchdog finds more than 70% of teenagers are turning to artificial intelligence chatbots for companionship and advice. And Jim Ryan reporting this noon, the advice they're getting is very alarming.
And sometimes with terrifying results. Researchers posing as 13-year-olds say they were able to coax advice on substance abuse, weight loss, and self-harm out of ChatGPT. Even the people behind that chatbot are concerned.
There's young people who just say, like, I can't make any decision in my life without telling ChatGPT everything that's going on.
At a conference sponsored by the Federal Reserve, Sam Altman, co-founder of ChatGPT parent OpenAI, acknowledged,
that feels really bad to me.
And the study finds that ChatGPT told researchers posing as those teenagers how to get alcohol and drugs, suggested how to hide eating disorders from their parents, and even generated a suicide note. Groundbreaking is scheduled later today for a new parking deck in downtown Roswell. City officials say it's going to bring relief to that popular area while also blending in with the character of the historic downtown Roswell. The parking deck will include about 400 parking spaces and will be located on the corner of Highway 9 and Green Street. It is scheduled to be completed next summer. In Fulton County, residents will be getting a chance tonight to learn more about a planned water rate hike. Fulton County's Department of Public Works holds a virtual public hearing on a proposal to raise water and sewer rates. The 5% increase over the next 2 years would help fund the county's capital improvement program and upgrades to a water reclamation facility. Past public hearings on the rate hike have drawn very few people. County officials say it shows residents understand where the money is going. And WSB Cheryl Castro reports today's hearing starts at 5:30. This is new at noon. Leaders behind the Stitch, a massive project to reconnect downtown and Midtown Atlanta, are trying to figure out the best way forward after the federal government pulled millions of dollars in grant funding.
The fact of the matter is it's certainly disappointing.
Jack Seeby, director of the Stitch, says the project is losing $151 million in grant funding after the signing of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act last month.
We probably will not be going to construction as planned mid next year, at least with the full phase 1.
But CB says the Stitch is still happening. They're working on finding alternative funding sources and discussing splitting up the project, which would eventually build a large green space above portions of the downtown connector. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Well, some new higher tariffs are now in effect, and Rachel Scott has more from Washington.
After months of pauses and extensions, overnight, President Trump's punishing new tariffs finally snapping into effect. More than 90 countries now facing tariffs ranging from 15% to as high as 41%, while almost all imported goods remain subject to a 10% tariff. Those tariffs will be paid by companies, but economists warn the costs may be passed on to consumers.
And while we're talking about your money and the economy, more Americans than expected found themselves filing first-time claims for unemployment benefits last week. The Labor Department saying it received 226,000 initial requests in the week ending August 2nd, and that is an increase of 7,000 from the previous week's revised today. It also is a few thousand more than most analysts had been expecting. Let's take a look at the markets here on your lunch hour. The Dow currently down 326 at 43,867. NASDAQ is up slightly, and the S&P is in the red. Time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour Traffic Center.
Better news for those traveling out of Alpharetta into Roswell and Sandy Springs. That traffic pacing that was in the left lane, it was rolling roadwork 400 southbound approaching Northridge Road, exit 6. That has since cleared. Just found new trouble off to the right, it looks like. Flashing lights with it. 285 northbound, the outer loop over in the Clarkston area between Highway 78 and Lawrenceville Highway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Now, your Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
A mix of sun and clouds through this afternoon. The northeast breeze helping to keep temperatures in the mid-80s for today, looking at a high of 85. An isolated pop-up shower can't be ruled out. Lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high 84. Increasing cloud cover, but mainly dry Saturday, high 83. Scattered rain showers return on Sunday, high 79. Mostly cloudy on Monday with off and on rain showers, high 78.
It is mostly cloudy and 75 degrees right now in Norcross, 76 in College Park. Milton, you have cloudy skies and 76 degrees. We'll have more news at 12:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday, your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 12 o'clock keyword is happy.
You made me so very happy.
That's happy, H-A-P-P-Y.
You made me so very happy.
Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword happy for your chance to win. You have until 12:59 to enter. Good luck.
Into my life.
Hello, America. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you wish to be on the program. Y'all, I got to start. I've completely, just so you know, completely upended my show from where I was going to start the show into something completely different that wasn't on my radar 30 minutes ago until a buddy of mine from South Louisiana sent me the story, and I knew immediately this is the most consequential story of the day. And it is not something that you have probably ever heard of unless you live down in South Louisiana. And I can't explain to you how big a deal this is to you. And I don't care, those of you listening up in Connecticut right now, this story is more consequential to you than almost any story you're going to hear today. Those of you in Sacramento, California, for you as well, the story is hugely consequential. For those of you in Dayton, Ohio, you have no idea how big this story is for you. And I want to explain this to you. And I thank my buddy Steve for putting this on my radar because I would have missed the story. And I'm going to use my national audience here now to raise a level of awareness to a critical story that is in South Louisiana. Well, actually, according to my grandmother, would be Yankee, Louisiana, because it's north of where we live. But nonetheless, it's a pretty critical story. The Mississippi River, for most people, you don't appreciate it, particularly if you live on the coast. If you live up in Connecticut, you're listening to WICC or WTIC, you're up in Maine, you're out in California, you don't understand really how big of an economic engine the Mississippi River is in the Mississippi River Basin. And so much of our commerce flows through the Mississippi on barges. We have a lot of coal that flows, a lot of goods that flow. The Ohio River, the Mississippi River, and the Missouri River, they connect into each other. The Ohio River then flows up, obviously, through Ohio over to Pennsylvania. The Mississippi River was probably really in the river system connected to it, and the Mississippi River Basin was the original interstate system for the United States. Lewis and Clark used the rivers to traverse into the west. The Missouri River and the Mississippi, it can get you all the way up into Minnesota, the Mississippi River can. It is a diverse ecosystem, and it is the spine of American industry. In fact, for a long time, the Mississippi River was considered the spine of America. Even west and east together meet there. And a lot of your West Coast energy and East Coast energy flow into the Mississippi River Basin and down to Louisiana and are refined in South Louisiana. Exxon has a massive refinery in South Louisiana. Marathon does. Pretty much every major oil and gas company has massive energy facilities in South Louisiana. Now, what do you know about water? Think about water. Water, like money, it wants to flow. And water wants to flow on the most efficient path it possibly can. Like the Nile River Delta, the fertile area there in the Nile, or the Fertile Crescent with the Euphrates and the Tigris. Those areas built up over time through flooding. The rivers had a flood cycle. The water would spread out. It would bring rich sediment. It would cover the land. and it was a very, very fertile place to plant. The Mississippi River takes all of the flow of the Mississippi River Valley, takes the Missouri River, the Ohio River, comes from the Allegheny River, and all of the rivers, they flow down into the Mississippi River, which flows down to South Louisiana, which if you look at the map of the nation, you see the Mississippi River Delta spreading out over time, and the very tip down there in Venice, Louisiana, you can see where the sediment is spread out. In fact, the Mississippi River power is so strong, it continues to push out further into the Gulf and builds up land. And as we built a levee system in the country to contain the flooding of the Mississippi River, the flow of the Mississippi has not altered its course as much, and the river desperately wants to alter its course. And you're thinking, Erickson, what does this have to do with any of us? Particularly those of you who don't live anywhere near Louisiana, and I myself am in Georgia. Well, this gets me to Lettsworth, Louisiana. Lettsworth, Louisiana is kind of straight across from, where the Mississippi, Louisiana boot and Mississippi meet, and Mississippi, the southern state line of Mississippi cuts over. And if you keep going west of where that line intersects Louisiana, you get almost to Lettsworth, Louisiana. And in Lettsworth, Louisiana, there is an amazing piece of engineering. It is one of the marvels of 20th century engineering. It's called the Old River Control Structure. The Old River Control Structure keeps the Mississippi River from flooding into the Red River and then flooding into the Atchafalaya River Basin in Louisiana. Now, again, every single one of you listening here is like, Erickson, what is this you think is the biggest story of the day? The Old River Control Structure keeps the Mississippi River flowing as it is and not as nature wants, and in the process of so doing, keeps all of South Louisiana from being wiped out by the Mississippi River. If the Old River Control Structure fails, all of our oil and gas industry gets flooded within a week. River commerce on the Mississippi River up to Ohio collapses overnight. The drinking water of New Orleans disappears. Lafayette, Louisiana goes underwater. Morgan City, Louisiana, which has a major oil and gas hub, gets washed away. The Old River Control Structure is a small piece of equipment built in the 1950s that keeps the Mississippi River from channeling into a brand new direction. Now let's step back to DOGE. The National Weather Service, if you follow along my 4 Things to Know This Afternoon podcast, the stories that come out after the show, I mentioned this the other day because it hit just as the show went away, and then I forgot to bring it back up with you guys. The old river, or the DOGE cut 600 plus jobs from the National Weather Service. It turns out some of the jobs that DOGE pushed out of the National Weather Service were mission critical. Now, these are not related to the flooding in Texas. That had nothing to do with the cuts from DOGE, despite what many members of the media claimed. But there actually were some significant cuts that were actually necessary jobs for hurricane season, one of which are the people who launched the weather balloons. Y'all do know that a lot of our weather forecasting comes from the launches of weather balloons, not just satellites. And the team that launches the weather balloons got cut. And you need them in the run-up to hurricane season. We don't just fly planes into hurricanes. We actually launch weather balloons high into the atmosphere to study the atmospheric currents, and it helps more accurate precision tracking for where a hurricane path is probably going to go. And those people were actually tossed. And so now the National Weather Service is rapidly hiring back about 200 of the 600 people that DOGE pushed out the door. So we had to spend money to get rid of them, and now we're having to spend money to bring them back. It actually wasn't very cost efficient, and some of those people were very critical. Well, the DOGE cuts have come for the Old River Control Structure too, and people in Louisiana are only waking up today to realize this is a problem. The Army Corps of Engineers was in the midst of a 5-year study on how to update the old river control structure because it was built in the 50s and 60s, and it's starting to show signs of major strain against battling and pushing back the Mississippi River from the outflow channel into the Red River. Again, all of you listening right now would be economically impacted if the old river control structure collapses, because it literally is your last line of defense during flood season, keeping the Mississippi River from spilling over into the Atchafalaya Basin uncontrolled in a way that wipes out fresh water in South Louisiana, floods Lafayette, wipes out the water systems in New Orleans, and collapses river irrigation up from Louisiana through Mississippi to Missouri and into the Ohio River Valley. That literally is this one piece of equipment. It does all that. It's kind of wild to think there's actually this one piece of equipment in South Louisiana that keeps the Mississippi River at bay in its famous bend there around Torres, Louisiana. As it goes down into South Louisiana, you have a series of rivers. And the reason that it's so important right there is because the way the Red River comes down from Shreveport, Louisiana, and through Alexandria, Louisiana, and crisscrosses the state, it takes a bend there right near the Mississippi River. And so the Red River now doesn't flow into the Mississippi River, nor the Mississippi into the Red River. And the Army Corps of Engineers cut a series of channels right there because the rivers are so close to each other. So when there's massive flooding that comes down from Missouri and Minnesota, they can open these channels and they can control the flooding into the Atchafalaya River Basin in South Louisiana. And they can do it in such a way they can control the rise of the water enough to protect the oil refineries, the power plants, the water supply, the cities of Lake Charles and Lafayette and Morgan City and New Orleans. If this whole thing collapses, that control goes away immediately. Literally, this is no exaggeration to say, within a week of the old river control structure collapsing, the water in New Orleans would no longer be drinkable. The city of Lafayette would be washed away. Morgan City and all the oil refineries down there and in the Baton Rouge area would collapse overnight. Well, it would take about a week, but there would be no saving them. And that's a problem. And the Army Corps of Engineers, thanks to the Doge cuts, its project to upgrade the old river control structure turns out to be one of those systems that has been paused. Now, they're saying pause, but it's an indefinite pause. So I'm opening my show today with this story to highlight to you, it doesn't matter where you live in the country, this one little barrier between the Mississippi River and the Red River in South Louisiana actually has a inordinately massive impact on the American economy, not just the Louisiana economy. Massively, it would completely, profoundly shift the direction of the Mississippi River, and it would cost a lot of money to redredge, dig, levee, and build to get the Mississippi River back in its old course if this thing went away. So the Army Corps has been studying it because it's a very old system, and, well, that study is now paused. They're, like, in the process of trying to upgrade this thing, and the government has paused it. And I got a sense, because I made a real quick phone call to a buddy of mine in D.C. who's involved with this stuff. He had no idea what I was talking about. And my suspicion is they just saw this little innocuous thing. It literally, you can pull it up on a map. The old river control structure looks like it is the least significant thing in America. And if you don't know what it is and what it actually does, it would look that way to you too. You can pull it up on a map. I've got it up on Google Maps right now. Just search for Lettsworth, Louisiana, Letts, Worth, Lettsworth, Louisiana, and Boycobee Parish. You can pull it up. You can zoom in. It looks completely insignificant. It looks like a little bit of a dam and maybe a lock system, and that's exactly what it is. And until you realize that lock system is what keeps the Mississippi from spilling over into the entire Atchafalaya Basin, you don't know. All I'm telling you is, Mr. President, I'm devoting the beginning of my show to a little bitty construction project in South Louisiana, because this one little bitty construction project in South Louisiana impacts the entire economy of the United States, from the West Coast to the East Coast, given how much flows down the Mississippi and how many oil refineries are south of this thing that would be flooded within a week if it collapsed. So I'm just starting my show with this. Sometimes little bitty things in places you don't know start major calamities. An archduke getting assassinated in 1914 started World War I. A butterfly flapping its wings in Japan starts a typhoon across the Pacific Ocean. You never know what's going to happen. This one little device down in South Louisiana that was channeled into the Mississippi by the Corps of Engineers in the 1950s to stop the Mississippi from dramatically changing course actually keeps the American economy afloat because it keeps oil refineries in the South from being flooded. So please, Mr. President, let the Army Corps of Engineers get back to its study because the nation's economy can't afford for this thing to break, and it's on the verge of breaking.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Trouble still off to the right, 285 northbound. The outer loop approaching Lawrenceville Highway, causing a few brake lights as you leave Highway 78, the Stone Mountain Freeway. Right lane construction in Midtown, Peachtree southbound at Deering Road. Traffic brought to you by YRefi.com. Is private student loan debt ruining your life? It doesn't have to. Just go to YRefi.com. That's YREFY.com and get your life back. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday, your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 12 o'clock keyword is happy.
So happy together.
That's happy, H-A-P-P-Y.
So happy together.
Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword happy for your chance to win. You have until 12:59 to enter. Good luck.
This is Scott Slade, updating my health story. I get a checkup every year, and last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number on my lab work. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options, and I'm more optimistic than ever about a good outcome. Now, when we're talking about our health, level with your providers if you think you have a problem. We all need expert eyes looking us over every so often. That's where virtual imaging can be invaluable. Virtual Imaging's LDCT body scan can give you time and options for early treatment, especially for cancer. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is extending their core body scan offer for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response, they've opened up more times in both offices. But appointments will fill up fast for this offer, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your Virtual Imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. That's virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now, while you still have options.
Summer can be a lot of fun, but summer can also stink. You're outside enjoying the yard, but what is that smell? Hi, I'm Shannon, the owner of Scorpion Septic. That foul odor is the summer heat telling you that your septic system needs Scorpion Septic.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump out charge with your repair. Details online, scorpionsepticservices.com.
ScorpionSepticServices.com.
The average baby boomer's 401k, just under $250,000. Gen X, closer to $200,000. How do your retirement savings stack up? No matter your age, the right moves today can completely change your financial future. That's why we created retirement planning at every age. A free guide with smart strategies, key milestones, and steps to stay on track. Download your copy today at yourwealth.com/resources. Let's get your future on the right track starting today.
Are you taking your garage door for granted? Is it squeaking and whining for attention? Overhead Door Company of Atlanta is here with same-day repair service. Experienced technicians have been servicing homeowners in Atlanta since 1935. That's 90 years. Overhead Door Company of Atlanta can handle all your garage door and opener needs. For same-day repair service, schedule online at overheaddooratlanta.com or call 404-USA-DOOR.
Hey everyone, it's your buddy Shelly Winter here. Join me this Saturday at noon for The Car Guys with Kevin Deutsch from Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Buy or lease, fix or sell, everything you want to know about cars, we will cover Saturday noon to 1 right here on 95.5 WSB.
At Shane Company, we've been engagement ring experts for almost 100 years. We have the largest selection of diamonds and gemstones in stock. You don't have to wait to compare them side by side. Find the one that speaks to you at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey, if you got weekend plans, make sure your home is ready for them. I called Wise Guys Pro Wash and boom, the house, driveway, and patio were spotless. They even cleaned the roof. I didn't even have to be home. They are truly professionals using the top equipment in the industry, and their soft washing kept my home safe and damage-free, and the results, incredible. Wise Guys has more than 2,000 five-star reviews, and I know why now. So mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off your next service. Book today at wiseguysprowash.com.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. All the information without the spin. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
So, one of the listeners, Fred, looks like he lives in Atlanta now, but he's from New York, tweeted me and said, let Louisiana deal with this themselves. Well, they can't. This is a federal project in South Louisiana, and the Army Corps of Engineers can't even complete its study because the DOGE cuts hit pause on the study. So even if Louisiana wanted to, and it technically can't because it's a federal project, and federal land, and so Louisiana can't technically do it. But even if they could, they can't because the Army Corps of Engineers has to figure out how to do the upgrades first without the whole thing's collapsing, and they can't even do that right now. So something's got to happen. Now, I don't want to dwell the whole time on this because there's a lot of other stuff, but that actually, I realize sometimes you're like, Erickson, why the heck did you? Because this actually affects the economy of the entire nation if this thing collapses, given the amount of oil refineries that would be washed away within a week if it were to happen. It's actually a very, very, very big deal, not just Louisiana, but to everybody. So it was worth raising the alarm here at the beginning of the show. But there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. The President of the United States has announced he wants a new census, and he wants to not count anyone other than citizens. Now, it depends on who you ask. Some of the reports say a census excluding non-citizens. Some say just excluding illegal aliens. There actually are some problems with this, multifaceted problems. It's not a bad idea to do the citizenship question. You know, the Supreme Court has said the president is allowed to do the citizenship question. But while all this is happening, the Democrats are screaming authoritarian, 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 autocrat, autocrat, autocrat. Have you noticed when the Democrats talk about this, they don't actually talk about restraining the presidency. They just want to restrain Donald Trump. Has nothing to do with restraining the actual presidency. They want that power. Now, we'll get into that. And, you know, a lot of what they want to do is unconstitutional. They should take the class on the Federalist Papers from Hillsdale College. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com, you can sign up for Hillsdale's class on the Federalist Papers, and all these people who say we got to do this or do that or this isn't constitutional or this is because I like it or I don't. It's kind of a scammy way to talk about it because it's based on their personal whims, not the text of the Constitution. And that's one of the great things you learn in this class on the Federalist Papers from Hillsdale College. Now, of course, they got 40 to choose from, but that one's actually a really good one about the Federalist Papers, still cited by the Supreme Court in lots of issues. You can sign up completely for free. It does not cost you a penny to take this or any one of the other 40 classes. You go to ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. You sign up today with Hillsdale College, and you open your mind to all sorts of knowledge you did not know before. The Federalist one is a very, very good one to get started if you're interested at all in our constitutional structure and systems. Given the lack of knowledge these days, it's a great one to take. And no penny to you, no cost to you. ericforhillsdale.com. Go sign up with them today.
More local news.
Newton County authorities crediting the Georgia State Patrol ground stop at the airport. Meanwhile,
more traffic.
One crash on I-20 westbound.
More weather.
The tornado threat has appeared to come to an end for Henry County.
Atlanta's morning news.
Tomorrow morning at 5.
this is a complicated, controversial subject.
Wake up with 95.5 WSB.
How Atlanta starts its day. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. 3 of the 5 soldiers wounded in that shooting at Fort Stewart in South Georgia have now been released from the hospital. Brigadier General John LaBus says 1 other is being treated at the post, while the 5th victim is still at the hospital in Savannah.
We have 1 soldier that remains at Savannah Memorial Community Hospital, who I visited with the secretary this morning. She's got a little bit longer road to recovery. The doctors are very positive.
Now, the suspect, Sergeant Cornelius Radford, is in custody as the military investigates the motive in this shooting. He is accused of bringing a personal firearm to the base to carry out the shooting. A group of unarmed soldiers tackled him to prevent additional injuries. Those soldiers have been given medals. Your weather for today, a mix of clouds and sun and isolated pop-up rain showers possible. Much warmer today with a high around 85, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. President Trump saying on social media today that he is directing the Commerce Department to start working to ensure the census won't include immigrants who are in this country illegally. A new study finds a majority of young adults, those 25 to 34, are putting off life milestones like moving out of their parents' homes, getting a job, marriage, and children. Less than a quarter of adults in the U.S. have achieved those milestones. Researchers say young adults today are prioritizing economic security over starting a family, partially due, they think, to the cost of housing and other life needs. And more Americans than expected found themselves filing for first-time claims for unemployment benefits last week. The Labor Department says it received 226,000 initial requests in the week ending August 2nd. That's an increase of 7,000 from the week before. It's also a few thousand more than most analysts had been expecting. It's 12:32.
Remodeling your home's exterior requires expertise, experience, and attention to detail. That's what I built my business on. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors. I'm the siding and windows expert you hear on the Home Fix-It show with decades of experience for all things exterior. Windows, siding, painting, roofing, decks, doors, and gutters, all with unmatched quality and craftsmanship. Even the small details are a big deal to us. Get your free estimate, Google Nelson Exteriors.
This is Greg Trzynski of the Original Mattress Factory. Many retailers use a computer program to tell you which mattress to buy after answering a few questions. That's not how finding the right mattress works. At OMF, our associates take the time to understand your specific needs. They'll guide you through our showroom, explain the differences between models, and help you select the right mattress. No computers, no gimmicks, just personal attention and quality mattresses built locally. Visit any showroom and experience the OMF difference for yourself.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
Hey guys, you looking for a simple solution to hair loss this summer? We'll get Advanced Hair's breakthrough one-day treatment during their once-yearly summer savings event. It's Mark Aaron back with you. Check this out. Your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day, and Advanced Hair guarantees it will grow. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar during Advanced Hair's best offer ever. For details and free consultations, call 470-660-HAIR or online at advancedhair.com.
All right, live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams.
Still watching some brake lights out of Norcross toward DeKalb County, 85 southbound between Jimmy Carter and I-285. Just volume, though. Luckily, no crashes in the way. On the south side, 675 southbound, a little slow in Stockbridge, leaving the 675-75 merge to Hudson Bridge. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy today, high 85, an isolated pop-up shower possible this afternoon.
We have 76 degrees in Midtown Atlanta. More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 12 o'clock keyword is happy.
So happy together.
That's happy. Happy.
So happy together.
Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword happy for your chance to win. You have until 12:59 to enter. Good luck. Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, delighted to have you with me. The President of the United States of America has announced he wants a new census without illegal immigrants. It is a big deal on social media. There are some problems. Now, let me read for you the tweet from the president. I have instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024. People who are in the country illegally will not be counted in the census. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love the thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, there are some problems, but I think he's got a plausible argument. We've got to begin, though, and you can't understand the issue, and I think a lot of people don't understand the issue without reading the second section of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Let me read for you a portion of this. Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. Now, notice the phrase whole persons. Now, some of you will say, well, that amendment applied to slaves. Not so fast. Go back to the beginning of the country. After 1789, the Constitution is established. We have a census. We start drawing districts for the House of Representatives. The Founding Fathers generation counted everybody living in the state, irrespective of whether they were a citizen or not. And that's the language of the Constitution as well. Prior to the 14th Amendment as well, the House of Representatives very specifically was based on the people who live there. And there was a clear distinction between citizens who were allowed to serve and whole persons who were counted for purpose of the census. So this does actually exist and actually is a thing. And that's a problem that your House of Representatives is apportioned based on the whole number of persons. So now the question is illegal aliens. I personally think the president has a plausible argument on illegal aliens. However, there have been multiple court cases on this, including one during Donald Trump's first term, and he lost the case. And the judges, it was a 3-judge appellate panel in the District of Columbia, which will again be the binding case law because the Supreme Court didn't do anything with this case. It was 2 George W. Bush appointees and a Barack Obama appointee, concluded that for time immemorial, census workers have counted legal and illegal aliens who are not just passing through but have domiciled themselves within the United States, whether they should or should not. And that's the way it's always been done, and that's the way it always must be done. The Supreme Court, however, has not weighed in on that matter. In his first term in 2019, Donald Trump tried to get Wilbur Ross to put a citizenship question on the census. And the case went to the U.S. Supreme Court. John Roberts wrote the majority opinion, and John Roberts said in that it is a perfectly valid question to ask on the census. Citizenship is a perfectly valid question to ask. However, there is an administrative process by which the census questions are formulated, and because the president sought to bypass the process, he can't. Congress established the process, not the president, and therefore the president can't bypass it. But the question could be done. And so what the Supreme Court's decision from John Roberts said is if the president follows properly the procedure to ask the citizenship question on the census, he can ask it. But there's a separate issue between asking the question and using that to determine the House of Representatives. That's a legal open question, and the president wants that fight. What is very clear is that resident aliens have to be counted. Now, if you're just passing through, if you're a tourist in the country, if you're visiting temporarily in the country, the census doesn't affect you. You're not a part of the census. No one's claiming that you are. The question is, legal residents of the United States must be counted, and it doesn't matter if they're a citizen. There are plenty of green card holders in the United States, and they are counted for purposes of the census and counted for purposes of apportionment of the representatives of the United States House of Representatives. Now, you may not like that, but you have to amend the Constitution because this article or Section 2 of the 14th Amendment very clearly says all persons, whole persons, are counted. Whole persons, by the way, also means a fetus in the womb doesn't count. It's got to be a living whole person is counted for purposes of the census. Now, what about illegal aliens? This 3-judge panel on the U.S. Court of Appeals of the District of Columbia said illegal aliens have always been counted and will always be counted, and you can't not count them. And they said that the history of the country shows that people who were residents of the country, no one was asked for purposes of the census whether you were a citizen or not, just do you live here? And if they answered yes, they were counted. And so that's kind of, in my mind, a little bit of a technicality. Just because we've never asked the citizenship issue first, we probably can. He might have a good argument there. But for people thinking you can exclude the legal residents who are not citizens, you can't do that. What about the illegal immigrants? The only case law we have is in the District of Columbia at the appellate level. It says you must count illegal aliens. So for the president to do this, there is going to be a court that is going to enjoin him in the District of Columbia. They're going to have good case law. The Supreme Court never overruled this circuit court decision. And this circuit court decision in the District of Columbia binds the executive branch because it's inside D.C. The Commerce Secretary will be bound by this. The Commerce Secretary will not be allowed to execute a census. But what does it matter as well? Because it's a mid-decade census. The Constitution requires that every 10 years we do a census for reapportionment. This is a mid-decade redistricting or mid-decade census. So it's not actually going to be good for redistricting. Now, the Republicans certainly can use it for redistricting, but why does the president want it is the bigger issue. One, it is to exclude the illegal aliens. Now, part of the problem here, too, you got to understand is there's an appropriations issue here. Every 10 years, the Congress appropriates money for the census. There's no money appropriated to do a mid-decade census. So where's the money going to come from to do the mid-decade census? It takes a lot of work. Because not only do you do the forms and you have to mail the forms, but people who don't reply with the forms, you got to go door to door unless we're going to do statistical sampling. But Republicans have convinced themselves statistical sampling is inaccurate. They want a physical hand count, body count. The Supreme Court has ruled that a physical body count is required. Statistical sampling isn't good enough. So you've got to hire people. They've got to go knocking on every door in the country to figure out who's there. The reason Republicans want this is because the 2020 census, every single person who has studied the census agrees is the worst census we've done. It was COVID. People didn't want to answer the doors of the census takers in 2020. People didn't want to participate in the census in 2020 because they were afraid people who would show up at their house would bring disease. It was a deeply flawed census. And by the way, no one on the left or right disputes this. Everyone widely acknowledges the 2020 census is deeply flawed. And frankly, Joe Biden probably should have, when he was president, redone the census and gotten buy-in from both sides to redo the census. It wouldn't have been good for redistricting, but he could have made the case, except the Democrats didn't want to make the case because the census benefited them. The census benefited the Democrats because, well, one, the vast number of illegal immigrants in blue states after Joe Biden allowed the border to be flooded, but also in southern states. Now, this is a very nuanced argument here, and you're going to have to listen to this one. When I go to the grocery store now here in the South where I am, if I see someone wearing an N95 mask, 7 out of 10 of them, and it doesn't very often happen, but when it does happen, the person's black. Why? I know it didn't get covered a lot in probably the news outlets that many of you listen to, but black families were decimated by COVID. Type 2 diabetes, sickle cell anemia, you name it, all were precursors to almost certain death if they got COVID. Albany, Georgia is a small city in the southwest part of the state of Georgia. Per capita, Albany, Georgia lost more people than anywhere other than New York City when COVID hit. Think about that, per capita. Not the same numbers, but when you take the number of people who lived, the percentage of people who died of COVID, and we're not talking, folks, we're not talking about the people who, they died of a stubbed toe, but they had COVID at the time. No, we're talking to people, sickle cell anemia in the South among black communities is very, very high. It's one of the reasons I do this fundraiser for Children's in Atlanta. They're the largest researcher for sickle cell anemia in the country, and it plagues a lot of black families. And in the South, in particular, you have a lot of sickle cell anemia. That is, your red blood cells are crescent shaped. You have a hard time getting oxygen. It becomes very painful. It can be fatal. And in South Georgia, a lot of black families deal with sickle cell anemia, and people with sickle cell were uniquely vulnerable to COVID because of what COVID does with blood oxygen supply. And people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes and other issues. And in black families in the South and the diets we have in the South, a lot of obesity, a lot of health problems, and per capita, more people died in Albany, Georgia than anywhere else in the country other than New York from COVID. And black families in black communities in the South really did not want to participate in a census in 2020. A lot of people didn't want to. And the result was that in the West and in the North, in blue enclaves, social services were deployed and more people participated in the census. And it not only overcounted people perhaps in the North and the West, it also overcounted the illegal immigrants, many of whom are now deported. And in the South, it undercounted people because in a lot of those states, particularly in poor areas of those states where large black populations, they wanted nothing to do with people coming to their homes during COVID. To this day in the South, if you encounter people wearing an N95 mask in the grocery store, overwhelmingly it's going to be a black family. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they've got some sort of phobia or something. It has to do with COVID was a wake-up call to infectious disease in that community and the health effects of sickle cell anemia and the like, and they're medically vulnerable and they want to take precautions. And you can't really blame them. You shouldn't mock them. Have little empathy for people who saw disproportionately more people die per capita than the white community when it came to COVID and a lot of other illnesses these days. They're concerned. And they live in the South. They didn't want to participate in the census. The numbers would have helped the GOP overall. There's a legitimate reason to redo the 2020 census. The question, though, is about illegal immigrants. And the president's going to have a hard time because the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals has already ruled that illegal immigrants have to be counted, and he's going to have to refight that case. The Democrats, however, are screaming about this being a threat to democracy. The Democrats are screaming, listener Karen from down in Florida, I happened to turn to look at this audio file and saw your email. What if we let the ICE agents conduct the census? The illegal immigrants won't answer the door. That's not a bad idea. But now listen here. One of the things the Democrats are doing is they're bellyaching about the democratic system because of what Donald Trump is doing. This is the idiot Molly Young Fast on MSNBC. Nepo baby got some concerns.
So I do think it's important to remember that so much of this is abnormal, and also these Texas Democrats are trying to get attention for a story that seems very wonky, but could actually be really the just as you and Joe were talking about before, it could really be the unraveling of our democratic system if we start
unraveling of our democratic system. This is the hyperbole. James Carville, by the way, is out saying that to protect democracy, Democrats need to win in 2028 and pack the Supreme Court and end the Republicans' ability to ever win again. Really, that doesn't sound like protecting democracy. Again, it comes back to protecting the Democrats. And notice how the Democrats are so fixated on restraining Donald Trump. We got to restrain Donald Trump. They don't want to restrain the powers of the presidency. They want the power that Donald Trump's using, and they want it for their own ends. They just don't like that Donald Trump's deployed it against them. Democrats love a weaponized presidency to use against their targets. They just hate that they're now being targeted by Donald Trump. If you really want to stop Donald Trump, gut the power of the presidency, but they don't want to do that, which means we can't take them seriously on the rest of the stuff either. You can't. If they're not willing to end the power of the presidency generally, there's no point in listening to them when they bellyache about Donald Trump, because they want to wield that power themselves against the people they don't like. That's just the truth, whether you want to believe it or not. Now, I got to move on. I got to tell you about Swiss America. They have been sounding the alarm about a secret war on cash and all-out assault on our freedoms. With soaring interest rates squeezing the economy, Swiss America wants to educate you on protecting your hard-earned assets now. You can get their report, The Secret War on Cash, completely free. You call or text 800-289-2646. The all-out war on cash includes digital forms of currency, and it continues to grow. The government trying to curb your use of cash so they can track your purchases better. Just mention ERIC, E-R-I-C-K. When you call or text 800-289-2646, all you have to do is text 800-289-2646 and text my name, ERIC, E-R-I-C-K. You'll get a link back. Follow the link. You'll get the report. It's completely free. 800-289-2646. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/ERIC, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. Message and data rates may apply.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1251 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Seen a few brake lights through Marietta on 75 southbound. We'll scan the jam cam from South Marietta Parkway down to Windy Hill. Traffic brought to you by Peach Pass and the new Peach Pass Go mobile app. The Peach Pass Go mobile app helps you get there faster with new and improved features and more coming soon. Download the Peach Pass Go mobile app today at peachpass.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday, your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 12 o'clock keyword is happy.
You made me so very happy.
That's happy, H-A-P-P-Y.
You made me so very happy.
Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword happy for your chance to win. You have until 12:59 to enter. Good luck.
Into my life.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, with all the things we're reading, seeing, and living through these days, from rate cuts, election season, and now a new administration, now seems like a great time to make sure we have that comprehensive plan in place. You know, the one that covers all our financial bases.
There are occasions throughout the year where I feel like it's critical for people to engage their financial lives and get the information that they deserve from a financial advisory team. And this is one of those times, to be quite frank. So we ask that you call us if you have a minimum of $500,000 in your full portfolio. But we're going to do away with that minimum so that those folks can have an equal opportunity to understand what's in their portfolio as well. Now, you have to have some money, right? I can't help you to build your wealth at work, right? But I sure can help, I believe, with your 401k, IRA management. There's probably 2 or 3 things that'll surprise you that you may want to take action on. So the next 10 people that call in will work up either a portfolio x-ray, or if you feel like you need a full retirement plan, go to unleashyourmoney.com, click on portfolio x-ray, or click on full retirement plan. We think you'll be impressed enough, and we want you to become a client. There's no question about it. We believe that we are a very competent fiduciary advisory team, and we want to offer that to our listeners. Let Hoffman Financial Group actually show you how we perform, and I believe we perform at the pinnacle of this industry.
Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
If you have the WSB radio app,
If you have the WSB
all
app,
the notifications you
If
need.
you have the WSB app,
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
Breaking news in Cobb County.
All in one place.
we'll send out an alert on the WSB
The
app.
95.5 WSB app.
Download it from your app store today.
777 now.
The Athletic was a great sports publication, and then it got bought by the New York Times, and I think we all know what happens when a publication gets bought by the New York Times. There's a piece by Shannon Ryan for the WNBA, and I apologize, it's that topic, so if you got kids in the car, you're warned. For the WNBA, it's about more than just green adult toys. The first time a bright green adult toy was hurled onto a WNBA court last week in Atlanta, players mostly laughed it off, and some posted social media jokes. When it happened a few days later, it interrupted a game in Chicago. Sky Center Elizabeth Williams called it super disrespectful. After a third incident during a Sparks Fever game on Tuesday, LA guard Kelsey Plum kicked the object off the court. It's natural for players to wonder how they should react to these bizarre, brazen, and potentially embarrassing and dangerous incidents. Whatever the purpose behind the trend, it's not incumbent on the players to laugh along with the supposed jokes, because these are not just silly pranks. That's right. This is about sexism and disrespect for the women of the WNBA. Humiliation, often lewd or sexual, has long been used as an attempt to make women feel uncomfortable in sports or diminish their place in this space. Let me read that sentence to you again. Humiliation, often lewd or sexual, has long been used as an attempt to make women feel uncomfortable in sports or diminish their place in this space. For centuries, athletics was a world for men only. Now let's talk about trans sports, shall we? Putting boys still with their male reproductive organs on display in girls' locker rooms. Many of the people at The Athletic and the New York Times are perfectly happy doing that, which also is humiliation as an attempt to make women feel uncomfortable in sports or diminish their place in the space by putting men in their spaces. And yet, y'all are uncomfortable with this? Really? There is a little bit of hypocrisy there, don't you think? There should be for you, but you lack the awareness to realize it.
if you have the WSB radio
If
app,
you have the WSB
All
app,
the notifications you
if
need.
you have the WSB app,
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
Breaking news in Cobb County.
All in one place.
we'll send out an alert on the WSB
The
app.
95.5 WSB app.
Download it from your app store today.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. Parents, listen up. This is a story you need to hear. A study by an internet watchdog finds more than 70% of teenagers are turning to artificial intelligence and chatbots for companionship and advice. And Jim Ryan reports this afternoon they are getting a very alarming advice.
And sometimes with terrifying results. Researchers posing as 13-year-olds say they were able to coax advice on substance abuse, weight loss, and self-harm out of ChatGPT. Even the people behind that chatbot are concerned.
There's young people who just say, like, I can't make any decision in my life without telling ChatGPT everything that's going on.
At a conference sponsored by the Federal Reserve, Sam Altman, co-founder of ChatGPT parent OpenAI, acknowledged,
that feels really bad to me.
And the study finds that ChatGPT told researchers posing as teenagers how to get alcohol and drugs, suggested how to hide eating disorders, and even generated a suicide note. Your weather for today, a mix of sun and clouds and isolated pop-up rain showers possible. Warmer, highs around 85. We'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. Breaking news in the 2026 governor's race. Attorney General Chris Carr's campaign has announced a federal lawsuit against Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones over his use of a leadership committee that they say is a blatant attempt to circumvent campaign finance laws. Now, this latest escalation comes after the Carr campaign filed a complaint with the State Ethics Commission that was later rejected. We have reached out to the Jones campaign for comments. Stay with WSB for updates. This just in, WSB's Veronica Waters telling us that the Fulton County judge has denied bond for the woman accused of killing South Fulton Police Captain Elio Garcia in April. Police said that Santeria McLean was driving drunk when she is accused of crossing lanes on Flat Shoals Road and slamming into Garcia's police cruiser head on. 3 of the 5 soldiers shot at Georgia's Fort Stewart yesterday are now out of the hospital. Brigadier General John Lubas said that the other 2 soldiers who remain hospitalized are expected to make full recoveries, and one could be released this weekend. The suspected gunman, an active duty military member, was taken into custody following the attack. Still no motive in the shooting. This is new this afternoon. More heads are rolling at the FBI. Michael Wallace has the latest.
Several top officials have been told tomorrow will be their last day at the Bureau. The list includes Brian Driscoll, who served as the FBI's acting director during the first few weeks of the Trump administration, as Kash Patel's nomination was pending. Driscoll was accused of insubordination after he refused to turn over the names of agents who were involved in the investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
And special agents in charge of field offices in several cities have been told to retire, resign, or be reassigned. It's 1:03.
When your termite bond renewal comes in the mail, do you cringe wondering how much more are they going to charge me now? Switch your termite protection to Breda Pest Management and your termite rate is locked in for 10 years. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here. When was the last time you actually saw your current service inspect your home for termite damage? Let me guess, they just walked around the outside and checked the bait stations. But it's the termites inside that could be eating your house. Feel safe with Breda's early detection process using advanced technology. They'll inspect inside and out, giving you total peace of mind that your home is termite-free. Termites are the most destructive bug of all, but Breda is so confident they guarantee your protection, and only Breda will lock in your termite rate for 10 years. Breda Pest Management, they handle bugs and critters like termites. BREDAPest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For many women in our community, support for our physical and mental health feels out of reach.
When your workday is long.
And your budget is tight.
And your village is busy.
And the road between home and help is a 6-lane highway with no crosswalk.
Northside Hospital believes women deserve better.
Northside is rolling up our sleeves and getting to work.
We got your house call.
Heard.
Learn more at northside.com/heard.
Summer is peak hosting season, right? Don't let a grimy house keep you from having company over. It's Chris Chandler, and Wise Guys Pro Wash got my place clean and bright and guest ready in just one day. They handle everything, house and deck, driveway, even my dirty roof, and their soft wash kept everything safe. No paint peel, no damage, just clean. If you got people coming over this summer, be sure Wise Guys Pro Wash comes by first. Mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off at wiseguysprowash.com. Book now before they fill up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers, call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
All right, live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams.
Watching some brake lights on the West Freeway, 20 eastbound, leaving Riverside Parkway, passing Fulton Industrial Boulevard. Looks like it's just volume, though, trying to head over to the west side perimeter. Downtown, 75-85 northbound, still a little slow from I-20 up to Freedom Parkway, with some southbound sluggish delays from 17th Street down to Cortlandt Street. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. A mix of sun and clouds today, mainly dry, high 85. An isolated pop-up shower can't be ruled out. Lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds, high 84. Partly cloudy on Saturday, highs in the low 80s.
All right, 76 degrees in Sugar Hill, 78 in Dallas. Here in Midtown Atlanta, we have 77 degrees. We will have more news at 1:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 1 o'clock keyword is weekend. That's weekend. WEEKEND. Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword weekend for your chance to win. You have until 1:59 to enter. Good luck. Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. Glad to have you with me. The phone number, should you wish to be on the program, 877-973-7425. All righty, we gotta. I gotta step on some toes here, Charlie. This is your fault. This is absolutely your fault. I'm not gonna play you the audio because I hadn't listened to it. But I saw Charlie's tweet. Make better choices. It's no more complicated than that. Stop crying like the deck is stacked against you. It's not. It's a result of your choices. That's it. Can't pay bills, get a second job. Can't afford a house, move somewhere you can. Beta energy won't get you ahead. What my producer is responding to, there is a video that has gone viral with 136,000 plus likes in 24 hours on TikTok. And it's a guy who says, they tell us to stop eating out and rinse $2,000 a month. Oh, save for retirement. You can barely save for next week. Go buy a house. Every house is $500,000. I'm not asking for a handout, man. We're asking for a freaking fair shot at life. Our parents did not work harder than we work right now. They were simply given better choices. Their wages covered their lives, their bills, their hobbies, their passions. Our wages barely cover our freaking bills for a month, dude. No amount of budgeting can ever fix a system designed to keep us down. We're doing the best we can, and yet it feels like the outcome has been decided. Buddy, you are a victim of your own decisions. I don't know how old you are. I am now 50 years old. I can tell you that if my kid, who is 19 and will turn 20 in a few weeks, were to tell me that my wages covered my lives, my bills, my hobbies, and my passions, wrong. When my wife and I first started out, we got married when we were 25. We will be married 25 years this year. I had to constantly, I'm still paying on my student loans. I haven't practiced law since 2006. I'm still paying on my law school loans. I've paid off my college loans, but it took a while because we had to constantly defer my student loans because we couldn't afford to pay our student loans. We rented a house, and my wife was fortunate in that her grandmother left her a bit of inheritance, and we were able to use that for a down payment on a house. But we still had to rely on family some when we were first married. I'm looking at a Realtor.com right now in my old neighborhood where we first lived when we got married. We bought a house. When we got married, we bought a house that was built in the late 40s. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. There was a garage that had been turned into a living room. We made it our bedroom, so we technically had 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And we bought it for $110,000. I'm looking at that neighborhood right now because all the houses were built in the 40s and 50s. There's one right now, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, more than a half acre or more than a quarter acre of land, $178,000. Here's one. It is 2 bedrooms. It's small. It's $116,000. Fantastic school right next door to it. Here's one 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom on almost an acre of land for $231,000 in that neighborhood now. And here's a half-acre lot, $219,000, 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, 2,000 square feet. It's old, it's dated, it's $219,000. You know what? Houses have certainly gone up more, and I certainly make more than I did when I got started. But when I was starting out with my wife made $19,000 a year. I made $40,000 to $36,000 a year starting. Moved up to $42,000. Never broke $50,000 as a lawyer. And that was in the early 2000s. We have had Joe Biden's inflation, and many of the people who were complaining the most continue to vote Democrat. They broke the economy. But I've got little sympathy for people who are getting on social media and complaining to everyone about their life and how hard it is for them to make a living and how expensive everything is expensive. You voted for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden broke the economy. And don't start on me on Donald Trump, because I've been complaining about tariffs and don't think he's actually helped the economy. And there's actually new data out that's actually shows that the tariffs are starting to have the negative impact that I've been telling you they would have. But many of you don't want to hear it, and you've convinced yourselves it's all a lie. And the data is rigged. So we won't get into that argument right now. I will just tell you that when my wife, with her health problems and our insurance and medical bills mounting because of my wife's problems, and we had 2 kids, decided that she wanted to stay home with the kids, my first reaction was to go to Dillard's and put in a job application, despite already working 2 full-time jobs, to go get a 3rd job so my wife could stay home. It wasn't a luxury, as I see some social media influencers saying. It was the reality of my wife's health and her wanting to put time in with the kids. And the cost of daycare at the time, we finally did the numbers and realized that we were paying basically her salary for daycare. So why not have her home with the kids? But then we had the insurance problem because we were on her insurance because my company wasn't offering me insurance the way it was structured, and I was going to have to get a second job. Then I was able to get my company to change its insurance for me, but I had to pay way more for my insurance than anybody else in the company. So I still needed a second job, and then I needed a 3rd job, and we were willing to make the sacrifices to make it work instead of getting on social media and lamenting how everything sucks and it's all another generation's fault and life is unfair and the deck is stacked against me. You know what? When you decide the deck is stacked against you, you have made a choice. Instead of trying to find a way to unstack the deck or overcome the deck, you have made a choice to play victim. And it is too easy in the United States of America in the year 2025 for you to decide to be a victim. Because there are a whole lot of people who have decided there's a job I simply will not do. I have a friend who does a job, and it is a passion of his. He has 4 kids. He and his wife have 4 kids. His wife stays home with the kids. Sorry, sneeze. His wife stays home with the kids. He's been set back in his job. You know what he did? He went and got a second job. And now that his youngest child is in a pre-K program, his wife now cleans houses. During the day when the kids are at school, his wife works as a maid. He now has a second job. They live in a neighborhood in a small house that they have outgrown. They can't afford a new house. but they're saving money to put themselves in that position. They didn't decide they're victims. They decided to find a way out of the victimhood. So his wife now does something during the day to earn the family money. He has a second job along with his job that is a passion. Y'all, I'm real sorry that there are people out there who just don't think that they can. But, you know, one of the things you can do in this country is you can move. We have freedom of travel in this country. And you may be married, and it may be hard and scary to move away from home and your social safety net. But to find a decent job and a relatively easy cost of living, you might have to move. Or, God forbid, you might just have to commute 45 minutes to your job from where you live because you've decided to move out into an area where you can find housing that's cheaper. There are plenty of options in the country. The problem is we are now programmed to believe that you can have your cake and eat it too. We are programmed to believe, because of what the shows that we watch and the politicians we listen to, that I should be able to have it all without sacrifice. No, sacrifice is part of life. I have people who think I am way wealthier than I am, who, when I say these things, they say, you just don't understand because you're so rich. You know what? I am very blessed now with the income I make, which is far more than I made as a lawyer, but it's not near what some people think. I'm certainly not making millions of dollars a year. I'm also paying for a kid in college. I'm paying for another kid in private school. I'm paying higher medical premiums because of my wife's lung cancer. Paying a lot of money. And there are things that I can't do that I want to do because I have to cover insurance premiums. Despite having very good insurance, we still have a lot of out-of-pocket costs because of my wife's cancer treatments. Paying a lot of out-of-pocket costs because I have a kid in college who got a fantastic scholarship, but it still doesn't quite make it. And I have another kid, because we're not sending our kid to one of the failing public schools in our area, we're sacrificing to sending to a private school. Those are decisions we made. Those are decisions we can afford. And you know what? If we couldn't afford those decisions, we would think about homeschooling, or we would think about sending our kid to a state school where her scholarship would have paid for everything. We didn't have to, thankfully. But I wouldn't get on social media and say, it's just unfair. I can't send my kid to the college she wants. I can't send my kid to private school. I can't cover my own. No, we would have made sacrifices. I would have gotten another job. We would have moved to a smaller house. We would have done something instead of getting on social media where I get to play myself as a victim. I'm not a victim. I've made choices in life. You have made choices in life. You may not like your choices in life, but they are your choices to make. And if you don't like the choices, why don't you take some time to sit down and think, how can I get new choices? You know, Gen Z is actually going to have a harder time than anyone else getting jobs because of AI. And I would tell you right now, think about AI proofing your life. If you're a Gen Z, if you're listening right now and you're young, do you know how to weld? Because the robots are never going to weld as good as a human. Have you thought about being a plumber? Have you thought about being an electrician? Have you thought about building houses or working construction? The manual labor of life that a computer and a robot are never going to be able to do. Have you thought about those things? Or have you decided you want to be a social media influencer? Well, do you want to have your own YouTube channel? Because I'm stunned by the number of people. In fact, my son was telling me the other day, there's a kid in his class who says he's going to be a social media guy. I'm like, good luck with that. My daughter has a friend who decided to set up a T-shirt company. He has the luxury of having very wealthy family to subsidize his life. Good luck with your entrepreneurial spirit, but is it going to work? Nowadays, what happens is kids have a dream. You know what? I'm going to go open a pie shop, and then it doesn't work out. Well, it's the system that got you down. No, your pie sucked. You weren't charging enough. You didn't know what you were doing. You were flying blind into it. I had a situation I'm familiar with of a guy who helped get a business started for a couple he believed in. They were fantastic at what they did. They were chefs. And you know what? It turned out they were terrible business people. Their costs got out of control. and they couldn't afford to make rent. And you know what they did? Instead of figuring out how to scale costs, they went to the guy who was renting them the land and the home that they were using as for their restaurant and their bakery, and they demanded that because he was invested in the business that he stop charging them rent. He said, no, I'm not going to stop charging you rent. You're paying rent. You're getting a discounted rent basis because I'm an investor in the company. But what you're going to do is you're going to fix your business. You've overrun your costs. You're buying too expensive ingredients. You're not charging enough for your product, and your product to some degree has gotten more expensive than what people can afford. You got to reassess your costs. So you know what they did? They decided that he must hate them, and they attacked him on social media and tried to make themselves out to be the victims. Instead of taking responsibility for operating their business the way they needed to operate it so their costs didn't get out of control, they decided to find someone to blame instead of recognizing they weren't very good at business. I don't have much sympathy for that. Life is never fair. Life is hard. Spare me your sympathetic story of your victimhood. My wife has stage 4 lung cancer that's incurable. She didn't ask for it, and we pay through the nose for her medical conditions, and I've had to work my butt off so she can stay home. I have very, very little sympathy for a Gen Z young millennial coming out and saying, I can't afford a house. You know what? We couldn't either for a time, and we had to rent until we could. And I had to go get multiple jobs to be able to cover the health care costs for my family. Spare me your hardship story. I've had them too. God has been very good, and I have worked my butt off in the process. And I have never, ever, ever once thought I was the victim because you know what? I knew going into it, life can suck. It's not fair, and you got to work hard. So spare me your diatribes on TikTok. Instead, go find a cheaper house or a second job.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
121 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Work crews are back in the left lane in Sandy Springs, 400 southbound, approaching Northridge Road exit 6. Looks like some rolling road work, so you will see a tap of the brakes out of Roswell. Left lane blocked both ways in Buckhead with construction. Piedmont Road between Lenox Road and Peachtree Road. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Now at Whole Foods Market, get 20% off air-chilled, boneless, skinless chicken breast with Prime through August 12th. As always, there are no antibiotics ever while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 1 o'clock keyword is weekend.
Everybody's working for the weekend. Everybody wants a new romance.
That's weekend, W-E-E-K-E-N-D. Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword weekend for your chance to win. You have until 1:59 to enter. Good luck.
When your termite bond renewal comes in the mail, do you cringe wondering, how much more are they going to charge me now? Switch to Breda Pest Management and your termite rate is locked in for 10 years. Hey, it's Mark Aram here. If your termite service doesn't inspect inside, how do you know you're protected? With Breda, you get total peace of mind that your home is termite-free inside and out, and your termite rate is locked in for 10 full years.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
Hey, if you got weekend plans, make sure your home is ready for them. I called Wise Guys Pro Wash and boom, the house, driveway, and patio were spotless. They even cleaned the roof. I didn't even have to be home. They are truly professionals using the top equipment in the industry, and their soft washing kept my home safe and damage-free, and the results, incredible. Wise Guys has more than 2,000 five-star reviews, and I know why now. So mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off your next service. Book today at wiseguysprowash.com.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Don't miss this great deal on large avocados or mangoes. They're on sale now, 3 for only $5 with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Hey Atlanta, it's Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. You know, my dad was on the air with WSB before I was born, and in all that time on talk radio, a couple of things have stayed true. It's a little hard to know who to trust, and things stay pretty unstable. Here's what's always been true. You can trust D. Geller & Son. 3 generations of Atlanta shoppers have. We've had Atlanta's best quality jewelry at the best value since 1939. The whole month of August, get 0% APR financing for 60 months on your next jewelry purchase at D. Geller & Son in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true, people are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. You can be on the program if you like. I'll get the phone calls after the break as I ran long in the last segment. So just be patient with me, those of you on the phones. Listen, I acknowledge that there are areas of the country where it is very, very hard to find an affordable house. Absolutely. And there are parts of the country where there are unaffordable houses where they should be. And actually, a buddy of mine just sent me a link that property values in the South are starting to collapse as a lot of investors who bought houses are starting to get out and take losses. We're starting to see them come down, but mortgages are high because interest rates are high. Interest rates are high because we've had inflation. Inflation is high because we had Joe Biden, and many of the people complaining the loudest about the cost of living are people who voted for Joe Biden. So I'm sorry, the economy is not great. But it's never been fair, and I just spare me your upset that you're somehow uniquely a victim. Being a victim in very many cases outside of a physical attack on you is a choice, particularly a mental choice. So just spare me your personal victimhood. Now, those of you who may be a victim of faulty computers, you can go to Vision Computers and they can take care of it for you. They can build you a new computer, they can upgrade your computer. Then they're going to save you some money, and they're going to get you something that lasts. You call them at 404-COMPUTER. You go to visioncomputers.com, see if they can help you. Now, here's the thing. If you're a business and you've got managed IT, that is, you don't have an in-house IT guy, but you work with an outside company, Vision can uniquely probably save you some money and keep you online. Why? Because instead of you have to file all these IT email tickets, your employees get a phone number they call, and 15 seconds or less, they got somebody on the phone who's going to help them right then and there on the phone, so you have less downtime. Your employees are more relaxed. They're more able to focus on their job instead of computer maintenance. What do you have to lose? Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Any one of you nationwide, they might be able to save your company some money. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Talk to Vision Computers about their managed IT support. If you're an individual, if you're a gig economy worker, they can take care of your computer as well. $199 a year. Tell them Eric sent you. You might save some money. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.
Everyone has an opinion.
We have become an idiotic nation that doesn't know how to even debate anything, so it doesn't surprise
Eric
me.
Von Hessler has an opinion.
You will still age.
And some advice.
Start doing things when you're younger. Drink a lot of water.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
And you will still die.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios. News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. This is new this afternoon. New developments in the 2026 governor's race. Attorney General Chris Carr's campaign announcing a federal lawsuit against Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones over his use of a leadership committee that they say is a blatant attempt to circumvent campaign finance laws. Now, this latest escalation comes after the Carr campaign filed a complaint with the State Ethics Commission that was later rejected. We have reached out to the Jones campaign for comment, and we are just getting it, so bear with me. Here is what it says, quote, Georgia's lackluster attorney general defended this law 2 years ago. Now he's running for governor and wants to challenge the same law he once defended. If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, he'd take gold. That is the statement from a spokesperson from Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. So keep it here. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the latest on this story as we get it. All right, 3 of the 5 soldiers shot at Georgia's Fort Stewart yesterday are now out of the hospital this afternoon. We understand that 2 soldiers remain in the hospital, one expected to make a full recovery and be released this weekend. The suspected gunman, an active duty military member, taken into custody following that attack. Still no word on a motive. This just in, downtown Atlanta, there is a possible gas leak at 25 Auburn Avenue, and a Georgia State University building there has been evacuated as a precaution. Hundreds of airline contract workers will be losing their jobs. This is also new at 1:30. A ground handling services company, Unify Aviation, which is based in Atlanta, reports that Delta Airlines has terminated its contract with them. So as a result, Unify saying that they plan to lay off some 379 people, and they will do that, they say, on September 30th. It's 1:32.
Shopping for windows and doors shouldn't feel like a full-time job.
Or like you invited someone over who never leaves.
It's Ted and Jonathan from North Georgia Replacement Windows. We offer a stress-free experience.
That means quick, accurate proposals without pressure or pricing games.
Plus, a detailed window installation that is quick, clean, and hassle-free.
Window and door shopping made simple with 0% interest available.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
It's time to take advantage of Zerorez Carpet Cleaning's Back to School BOGO sale. For a limited time, when you get 2 rooms of carpet cleaned, you'll get 2 more rooms cleaned absolutely free. That's right, 4 clean rooms for the price of 2. Just mention WSB Radio when you schedule and be sure to use promo code BOGO at ZerorezAtlanta.com. Hurry, this offer won't last long. That's ZerorezAtlanta.com. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
Hi, this is Megan, your friend and jeweler from Shane Company. Did you know not all warranties are created equal? At Shane Company, our free lifetime warranty is all-inclusive and even protects the diamond in your engagement ring. We can offer such an incredible warranty because our rings are crafted to last a lifetime. As your friend and jeweler, our gift to you is peace of mind. At Shane Company, we also cover unlimited repairs, resizings, and cleanings for free for life, saving you thousands over time. Because a friend always has your back. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey, friends, when was the last time you hopped out of bed without your knee or back screaming at you? Or walked down a flight of stairs without groaning, step by step? Let me guess, in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, it'll disappear, I'll tough it out, but nothing ever changes, does it? Hey, it's Mark Air. Time to call and schedule that free consultation with the medical pros at QC Kinetics. There are thousands of patients who will tell you they wish they would have done it sooner. They turned around their lives with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments that work with your body to help restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Natural cellular therapies, no scalpels, no pills, just long-term relief with no dreaded recovery. Bring your x-rays and your MRIs to QC Kinetics for a free, no-pressure chat and a thorough evaluation to see if you're a good candidate. Worst case, you learn something new. Best case, you get your life back. Grab the phone right now. Give them a call. 770-285-8026. Ask about that free consultation. 770-285-8026.
Alex Williams, how are we doing on the roads?
Rolling road work has resumed on the north side, Sabrina, and Sandy Springs are rolling in that left lane again. 400 southbound approaching Northridge Road, exit number 6. I think a stall just cleared, 7585 northbound above University Avenue, so those brake lights heading up to I-20 should start to improve. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy today, high 85, an isolated pop-up shower possible this afternoon.
We'll have more news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 1 o'clock keyword is weekend. That's weekend, W-E-E-K-E-N-D. Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword weekend for your chance to win. You have until 1:59 to enter. Good luck. Ladies and gentlemen, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is going to join me at the top of the next hour. That's 2:05 p.m. Eastern Time nationwide. Governor of Texas is going to join me about their redistricting and the flight of the Democrats out of state. He is getting the FBI enlisted to track down those Democrats and haul them back to Texas. I'll get the details from the governor himself at the top of the next hour. Right now, I want to go to Amy in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on the Eric Erickson Show here. Amy, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
What's going on?
Well, I was calling about the victimhood mentality of the young adults, and unfortunately, you also have to credit their parents. I've got 4 kids. My daughter is 20. She's just completed 2 associate's degrees at a local community college. She's transferring for her 4-year degree, has $30,000 in the bank because she's worked since she's 16, paid off her own car, and she's got a few small scholarships and is paying the rest of the tuition herself once she transfers.
God bless
so
her.
it is very possible to still make it as a young adult today.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think about my niece who is out of college, got a nursing degree, has her own house, has a car, even pays for her younger sister to go on some vacations with her, and is making good money. If my sister were listening right now, she would say, and now you need to find her a husband. Anybody available in the Memphis area? But you're right. Parents have a role to do with that, and the self-esteem and the lack of victimhood and all of that. It really is just insane to me, the number of people. And you know, when this comes up, in fact, I see this happening on Twitter right now because I retweeted my producer who was complaining about this phenomenon. The number of people who keep trying to make excuses about, well, housing in my area is so expensive. Like, move. It sucks to move away from your family, but if they're not letting you live in the basement and you can't afford something, move. And people don't want to consider there are choices that they can choose to make.
Yeah,
so,
also, you know, a lot of times they think they're going to come out living like an established career professional instead of knowing that they need to make those sacrifices.
Yeah, people have these wild aspirations and expectations now, but kudos to you for being a good parent and raising a kid with a good head on her shoulders. And parents, that life is not fair, and there does seem to be a common thread with a number of people who just they tried to level the playing field for the kid all along, and then their kid gets into life and is sorely disappointed by the lack of level playing field. Tony, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show, Tony. How are you?
Hey, Eric. Good to
What's going
speak
on?
with you.
You too.
I had a similar conversation with our best friends. We were actually in Tuscany, Italy, and 3 of their 3 sons were there as well. And after dinner one night, we heard some of the same comments that you have been speaking about. And I'm a math nerd. And I got on the internet, and I was trying to find some data points that would be relatable. And my friend and I were both retired Navy. So I went back in the internet and said, what was the starting salary of a Navy ensign in 1979, the year I was commissioned? And then I had that number, and then I converted that to a yearly salary. And then I asked the internet, what was the median home price in the United States in 1979? And then I formed a ratio of how many years, or that the starting salary was about $9,000, and the median home price was somewhere in the upper 90s. Then I did the same thing for 2004, and the ratios were very similar. And when I shared those data with my friend's sons, they disputed them, and then when I showed them the data, actually, then they said, well, things are different now. So things were not different. Baby boomer did not have it any easier with 12% interest rates when I bought my first house in 1982. I was lucky to get a 12% interest rate.
Yeah, funny you say that. If I recall, my parents there was like a 14% interest rate when they bought the house I grew up in the 70s, and it was a old fixer upper from the 1800s, and yeah, I remember being floored when my dad told me what the interest rate was, and of course, as interest rates came down, they refinanced and stuff over time. But yeah, it's just people people are saying, "No, we're dealing with such bad inflation now." They were dealing with bad inflation in the 1970s too. Let alone that they had gas lines too.
Yes. So the baby boomers, we picked ourselves up. We had the World War II generation that raised us. My mom and dad were born in Italy and raised 4 children. All 4 children went to college. I have a master's degree. My sister has a master's degree. All of the grandchildren went to college. So I have scholarships.
Tony, that raises another point, and thanks very much for calling on this, because that raises another point. When you talk to kids now, they want to live in a house that is, 3,000 to 4,000 square feet, if not larger. And a lot of the people who raised their kids in small houses did so in 1,500 to 2,400 square foot houses. Think about my sister and brother-in-law, my oldest sister and brother-in-law, they lived in a very small house with 3 kids in Portsmouth, Virginia. And it was 2 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and 2 of the kids had to share a bedroom until they converted they had a sunroom, they converted into a bedroom. And it was a small house for 2 parents, 3 girls, 2 dogs. It was a small house. And I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day about his kid, and he was kind of floored that his son really expects to live in a house about the size of his parents' house when he gets out of college. And he's like, you're going to live in a 1-bedroom apartment until you're not even married. And just the expectations and really the idea of a lack of sacrifice. I really am sorry. We've been through hard times as a nation before. In the 1970s, when Jimmy Carter was president, there were gas lines. There was massive inflation. Mortgage rates were astronomical, doubled. We don't even have double-digit mortgage rates right now. Is the cost of living through the roof right now? Yes. Will some adjustments be coming? Yes. Are there parts of the country that it is super expensive to buy housing? Yes. But you know what? There are also parts of the country where it's not super expensive, and you can move there and find a job and have a cheaper quality of life. But you don't want to do that, do you? We got people calling in the metro Atlanta area where it has gotten exceedingly expensive to live. And they're like, you just don't understand. I understand exactly. What you don't seem to understand is that it is your choice to still live there. There was a story in the Wall Street Journal the other day about the metro Atlanta area is now declining in population. People have finally decided it costs too much and traffic's too bad, and they're moving. God bless them. Some people have realized they can make a choice. So much of what you're doing is a choice, and you don't want to acknowledge it as a choice. You want to acknowledge yourself as a victim of circumstance, and you've got to get out of the victim of circumstance mentality. There are real victims in society, but 7 out of 10 of the people who convince themselves they're victims aren't. Just life sucks for them, and they've decided they're the victim. And by the way, there's a common trend here as well as you get into the conspiracy thinking. The man is out to get you. It's the man's fault. I think I've told you guys this story before, but I might as well. We got so many new people in the audience now. My very first time in a courtroom as a criminal defense attorney, I was representing a guy who he was arrested, pulled over. He had crack cocaine in his vehicle. under his driver's side car seat. And I went to see him, and I asked him what his defense was. And he said, a man planted it. I think you might have said the man planted it. So, well, who is this man? He says, he looks like you. That's what he is looking at me. He says, looks like you. I could not figure this out. I was young. I was much more naive than I am now. I was fresh out of law school and just passed the bar exam. And I have a client with crack cocaine under the driver's seat of his car, and a man who looks like me planted it there. So we go to court, and my presumption is my client is crazy. And I have to go before Judge Christian, and God bless her, she just passed away. May she rest in peace. She was wonderful, and she was mean. And she pulled her glasses down when I stood up and said my client needed a psychological evaluation. And she looked over her glasses, and she called me up, and she says, why? I said, Your Honor, my client's defense is that a man who looks like me put the crack cocaine under the driver's seat. That is his defense. That is all I can get from him. He insists it is a man who looks like me. Therefore, he must be crazy. And she shoved me aside, and she said, Sir, stand up. The guy stood up, and she says, and she cocked her head one way and then the other. She says, do you mean a man or you mean the man? He says, the man. She looks at me. She says, Mr. Erickson, your client is racist, not crazy. He means the white man. He went to jail. He was convinced he couldn't take responsibility for himself. The man did it. And right now it's the government did it. Gen X did it. The boomers did it. The man did it. The man raised the prices. And I can't get ahead because of all the people who got ahead before me. They've taken all the resources. This is Malthusian thinking that we have finite resources and everyone else is going ahead of you. You know what sucks right now? As an economic policy, it does suck in housing that interest rates are now 8 or 9% in some cases, 7% at a minimum. People have mortgages that they refinance to like 0.5% before inflation started, and those people don't want to give up their homes. So to a degree, you have a housing shortage because of interest rates, because of inflation. And yes, I acknowledge that as the problem, and still you can get on Realtor.com and find a house for less than $200,000 that is an old house that's a fixer-upper, and you can get on YouTube and learn how to paint and hammer nails and fix it up and not be struggling because the man priced you out of the market. Preston in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Listen on Freedom 96.9. Welcome. How are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
Great.
So I know why they want to complain and everything. I grew up in a broken home. I used to be a dirty word, a Democrat. And like
God
you said,
bless you.
the man was keeping me down. I should be getting everything that everybody else has without working for it. And then you have a mind change. You change your mindset. I became a Republican and started, hey, I need to work for this. I need to build myself. And I started doing it late in my life, my early 30s. But I was able to change my values and everything and change it for my kids, too. I was a single father for 9 years. I have 5 kids. My oldest daughter last year flew to London on her own dime that she earned the money for and looked at colleges. Turns out she didn't like London so much. My daughter, who's right under her, has her own place, own job, doing great. My other daughter just graduated with honors. And my son is in high school taking his college classes for his basics so he can go into college. He wants to become a pilot. And then my youngest son is on the honor roll. I struggle. My rent's $2,000. I moved an hour and a half away from where my family lived so I could get that better paying job. But all these whiny babies out there just say, give me, give me, give me. And it's their mentality in their head. Well, I should have what that guy has without working for it. And that's the difference between a Democrat and a Republican.
That is well said, Preston. God bless you. I appreciate you listening out in Oklahoma City as well. I want to say something to you. You'll hear this. You're being judgy. You don't walk in my shoes. The problem is, so many people these days, they individualize themselves and their circumstances and think they're unique and special, when a lot of us have walked in their shoes and they don't want to hear it, they don't understand it, they don't appreciate it, and they think we're putting them down. And it may be tough love. I'm not putting you down. I'm just telling you, you're not a victim. This is life. You are not a victim. This is life. And when you see two paths before you and you don't like either one, you can either pick one of the two you don't like or find a way to carve a new path for yourself. It's a choice you make. But to go online and whine that it's not fair, it's too expensive, and my parents, they never had to struggle, you probably don't understand your parents. Maybe your parents were super wealthy. Mine were not. I certainly struggled. My wife certainly struggled. We struggled together as a married couple. And we made a lot of sacrifices. I can very specifically remember, and my wife more than me, when we first got married, my wife had to have a double mastectomy. She has a horrible history of breast cancer in her family. We had to fight insurance to be able to get her a double mastectomy because we knew, given her history, she would get breast cancer. Irony as we move forward in life and genetic testing improved, turns out she had the lung cancer gene, not the breast cancer gene, but nonetheless, the time, that was the best we knew. Insurance did it. So my wife couldn't breastfeed our kids. We had to buy formula. And there were times when we were first married and had a young child where we had to give up a lot just to be able to afford formula. We had to stop buying paper products. We had lived on paper plates and paper towels, and instead we had to learn how to wash dish towels and wash plates every night because we decided we had to cut out the paper products to be able to save money. We couldn't go out to dinner. We couldn't go see movies. There were times we had to have the air conditioner turned off in the house because we couldn't afford a high power bill because we had to buy formula. We had to buy formula or our child would have starved. And so we had to turn off the air conditioner and sweat. At night in the winter, we had to turn down the thermostat and freeze because our kid needed food. So please, please don't think your circumstance is so unique and you're such a victim and the man is out to get you. Sometimes you have to make sacrifice in life, and you'll be better off in life making those sacrifices and building your character instead of having a pity party and thinking you're a victim when you're a victim of your own circumstances that you have the power to change because you're an American. Take Old Glory Bank, for example. It's a bank by conservatives for conservatives who didn't like the banking trends in the country, and they thought, you know what, we can do this better. They bought a bank in Oklahoma City, and they turned it into a nationwide online bank. And now you anywhere in the country can get a banking with Old Glory Bank, no fee checking, no fee savings. They have premium accounts as well. You can do mortgages. You can do car loans. You can get a CD. You can get a business account. If you've got a business, you can get a business account with Old Glory Bank. OldGloryBank.com/Eric. OldGloryBank.com/Eric. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. OldGloryBank.com actually is my bank. I got a checking account with them and a savings account with them. They've got great rates. They're highly innovative. You can even deposit cash with them, even though they're an online bank. And again, businesses, they're a very business-friendly bank. OldGloryBank.com/Eric. Go sign up online. Takes less than 8 minutes. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
153 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still watching the rolling left lane work crews, 400 southbound in Sandy Springs before Northridge Road, exit 6. It's causing delays back to Mansell Road. And downtown, it's starting to fill in, 75-85 southbound and getting a tad slower, 17th Street down to North Avenue. Traffic brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Learn more about their support of Common Threads and nutrition education at anthem.com/stream. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 1 o'clock keyword is weekend. That's weekend. WEEKEND. Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword weekend for your chance to win. You have until 1:59 to enter. Good luck.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-575-2798.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-2798. That's 800-575-2798.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier, the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT core body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Home improvement projects can be a stressful guessing game. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus, the highest level of communication. The Plus means siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and of course, painting.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. We'll make you comfortable and keep you informed with every step of your project.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus, siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Jaron Solomon here, and this month we're spotlighting Noam Carver and Crown Ring. We've got the largest selection of engagement rings and wedding bands, and every ring comes with our low price guarantee, including on Noam Carver's latest patented Luna collection. And don't miss Wedding Band Weekend, August 15th through the 17th, where every wedding band in store is buy one, get one half off. Head to SolomonBrothers.com and click book an appointment for your private shopping experience.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
All right, I do have to move on to other stuff. I'm just continuously gobsmacked by the number of people, though, who don't want to understand that I actually do understand. And also life is not fair. Nonetheless, at the top of the next hour, Governor Greg Abbott is going to join me, the great governor of the fantastic state of Texas. Democrats are on the run there to avoid a special session for redistricting. And I do want to talk to the governor about how do you round up these Democrats and get them back into the state? And also, are we sure it's wise to do this gamble, and how do you do it to make sure you don't actually make a bunch of seats Democrat by accident? I ask him all those questions, and many of you have the same questions. I'll get them asked to him, the governor of Texas, joining me when we come back.
If it's happening on the streets of Atlanta.
After suspect refuses to exit home on Summer Chase Drive.
If it's happening on the roads leading to Atlanta.
Looks to be a tanker truck crashed into the median on the jam cam.
95.5 WSB has you
The
covered.
major culprits squeezing household budgets for auto insurance, gasoline, and utilities.
Your 24/7 news source. Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
95.5 WSB,
Atlanta's breaking news station.
Summer is peak hosting season, right? Don't let a grimy house keep you from having company over. It's Chris Chandler, and Wise Guys Pro Wash got my place clean and bright and guest ready in just one day. They handled everything, house and deck, driveway, even my dirty roof, and their soft wash kept everything safe. No paint peel, no damage, just clean. If you got people coming over this summer, be sure Wise Guys Pro Wash comes by first. Mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off at wiseguysprowash.com. Book now before they fill up.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers, call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story, a legal fight between the two Republicans in Georgia's race for governor. WSB's Jonathan O'Brien reports live on a new federal lawsuit.
Yeah, Bill, that lawsuit filed by Attorney General Chris Carr's campaign charges that Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones's use of a leadership committee is a, quote, blatant attempt to circumvent campaign finance laws. I just spoke with Carr campaign manager Neil Bidding, who tells me this is about fairness.
That is the main issue. It's not a fair playing field, Jonathan. And so what we're doing is going to court to make sure that the law is upheld and that the rules are applied.
They say the use of a leadership committee is unconstitutional in a primary, and they're asking a judge for an emergency injunction to stop the Jones campaign from using the money. Now, Jones campaign spokeswoman Kendall Parker responding in a statement that Carr defended the law 2 years ago and, quote, now he's running for governor and wants to challenge the same law he once defended. If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, she says, he'd take the gold. Reporting live, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
79 degrees in Atlanta. Isolated showers possible through this afternoon. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. Heroes, soldiers. The Army today honoring 6 soldiers for subduing the suspect and helping the injured after Wednesday's shooting at Georgia's Fort Stewart. First Sergeant Joshua Taylor was one of the soldiers who jumped into action.
Of course, friends were shot. Bad things happen, and I'm going to continue to take care of my soldiers, and I'm going to continue to move forward.
3 of the 5 soldiers wounded in the shooting are now out of the hospital. The suspect, Sergeant Cornelius Radford, is in custody. No word yet on a motive for the shooting. A massive project to build green space over the downtown connector is still a go, even after the federal government pulls over $150 million in funding. Jack Seeby, director of the Stitch, says the change comes after the signing of the One Big Beautiful Bill.
At this point, we have everything that we need for it to happen, except for a funding gap. And so I think, we're going to get there.
He says they're trying to find other funding resources. Hundreds of contractors at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport will lose their jobs next month. Atlanta-based ground handling services company Unify Aviation says Delta is ending its contract with them. Unify plans to lay off almost 380 people at the end of September. It is now 2:02. This news is sponsored by Brett Beckers. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
Hey Atlanta, it's Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. My dad was on the air with WSB before I was born, and in all that time on talk radio, a couple of things have stayed true. It's a little hard to know who to trust, and things stay pretty unstable. Here's what's always been true. You can trust D. Geller & Son. 3 generations of Atlanta shoppers have. We've had Atlanta's best quality jewelry at the best value since 1939. The whole month of August, get 0% APR financing for 60 months on your next jewelry purchase at D. Geller & Son in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
That's it. No more showers for anyone.
Honey, what's happening?
Our water bill is higher than the mortgage.
If your water bill is very high, you've got a leak. Call Delta Plumbing, the educated plumber. With over 50 years experience, they are the leak experts. Using state-of-the-art leak detection technology, they'll find and fix your leak without guessing games.
How fast can you get here?
Leak detection at educatedplumber.com. Problem solved.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Dave Baker here with a custom spacious closet from Artisan. You'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
Hey everyone, it's your buddy Shelly Winter here. Join me this Saturday at noon for the Car Guys with Kevin Deutsch from Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Buy or lease, fix or sell, everything you want to know about cars, we will cover Saturday noon to 1 right here on 95.5 WSB.
Hey friends, when was the last time you hopped out of bed without your knee or back screaming at you? Or walked down a flight of stairs without groaning, step by step? Let me guess, in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, it'll disappear, I'll tough it out, but nothing ever changes, does it? Hey, it's Mark Air. Time to call and schedule that free consultation with the medical pros at QC Kinetics. There are thousands of patients who will tell you they wish they would have done it sooner. They turned around their lives with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments that work with your body to help restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Natural cellular therapies, no scalpels, no pills, just long-term relief with no dreaded recovery. Bring your x-rays and your MRIs to QC Kinetics for a free, no-pressure chat and a thorough evaluation to see if you're a good candidate. Worst case, you learn something new. Best case, you get your life back. Grab the phone right now. Give them a call. 770-285-8026. Ask about that free consultation. 770-285-8026.
It is 2:05. Time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. Brake lights through Sandy Springs out of Roswell on 400 southbound, starting right around Mansell Road, exit 8. It's all to do with this rolling construction crew in the left lane below the Chattahoochee River approaching Northridge Road, exit number 6. Elsewhere, if you are making the commute out of Marietta down toward Truist Park, 75 southbound, a little sluggish from South Marietta Parkway to I-285. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. A mix of sun and clouds today, mainly dry, high 85. An isolated pop-up shower can't be ruled out. Lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds, high 84. Partly cloudy on Saturday, highs in the low 80s.
79 in Ackworth, 80 in Lilburn, 78 in East Point. More news at 3:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 2 o'clock keyword is nice.
Oh, it's so nice to be with you. I love.
That's nice. N-I-C-E.
And it's so nice to hear you say.
Go to WSBRadio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword nice for your chance to win. You have until 2:59 to enter. Good luck.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. Glad to have you with me. I have a special guest by phone here, the governor of the greatest state, that would be Texas, joining me to talk about redistricting. Governor, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm great. Now, I know everybody thinks they live in the greatest state, and I don't live in Texas, but I do know my facts, and I do love your state. So thank you for calling in.
It's always a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure to host you in Texas on many occasions.
Oh, yes, indeed. So now you have found a novel way to rid your state of Democrats, and that is to have a special session of redistricting, and they all fled like roaches when you turned the lights on. I'm amazed by this, but also how are you guys going to round them up to get them back to get a quorum?
Well, you say it's a novel way, but actually it's what you would call rinse and repeat, because every time we do something like this, the Democrats flee the state of Texas and think they're going to be able to stop the law we're trying to pass, only to have to return to the state and eventually getting passed. First, I'll tell you this, Eric, and that is you being familiar with Texas, running from a fight is the last thing a Texan should do. Mm-hmm. Texans stand and fight. So what we're dealing with are a bunch of cowards, and they showed their cowardice by turning tail and running and abandoning their job. Think about this for a second, Eric. If anybody listening to this show who has a job, if they walked off their job and went to some other city just to hang out and did not do their job, they would get fired. And that's exactly what should happen to these members of the Texas House who are Democrats who walked off the job. They're denying the ability to have a quorum to take a vote on these redistricting maps. First, I'll tell you, they're going to come back. I can't tell you exactly when. What I can tell you is this, and that is there are law enforcement officers scouring the streets of Texas as well as places outside of Texas as we speak right now to get them and to bring them back and lock them into the Texas Capitol to cast that vote.
Now, what about the legality? I know there was an attorney's general opinion about it, and I'm not sure what the judiciary in Texas would say about it, that they can be dismissed from their job, considered not working anymore. I know you've mentioned that, but is it possible to just say, well, they no longer are in the legislature and have that alter the quorum, or is that kind of one of the fantasy movements that people on the right have floated?
Well, so what the Texas Constitution prescribes is that I'm going to quote it, that the legislature must act upon bills. And running to another state, breaking a quorum, violates that provision of the Constitution. So what they've done is they have abandoned their constitutional responsibility, and they are denying the ability for the legislature to take action. As a result, we are seeking to remove them from their offices because they have abandoned their office, as well as abandoned their own state.
I do have to say the irony of so many of them abandoning the state of Texas to the most gerrymandered and corrupt state of the nation, Illinois, probably was not the most well thought out place for them to go if they wanted to avoid questions on redistricting.
Well, it's like if they wanted to protest beer, they ran off to Milwaukee. It's insane because, as you point out, rightfully so, Illinois is one of the most gerrymandered states in the country. In fact, all the most gerrymandered states in the country are blue states. You've got California, New York, Illinois, and Massachusetts. And so it's astonishing that the Democrats in Texas chose to go to the state of Illinois. But at that point aside, they are failing to do their job like every Texan has to do. It's time for them to get back to work like every Texan has to do. And remember this, Eric, this is hugely important, and that is, I call a special session that lasts only 30 days, and I put on that special session agenda the necessity that the legislature address the needs of our fellow Texans who've been impacted by these deadly floods. What the Democrats have done, they have turned their backs on the victims of these floods and their families and not taking care of them, and the Democrats will pay a heavy price at the next election because they abandoned their fellow Texans in a time of need.
Governor, I want to ask you some of the practical effects on the redistricting plan. I've seen the maps out, and one of my concerns is presidential elections have higher turnout, and people just like Barack Obama would see people turn out for him in a presidential election who wouldn't show up in midterms. President Trump has, we've seen in two terms now, the same effect we think in this term could be. Is there a concern at all that the maps that would be drawn might accidentally create some districts that don't help the Republicans as much as we thought? Or how was the data used to make sure they really are as Republican as we believe they are?
So, Eric, these maps are a result of trends that we've seen over the past decade. And I can tell you, I'll explain to you here in a second, why these trends are going to continue and expand. First, we are adding 5 seats that are currently held by Democrats and will be held by Republicans. 4 of those seats are predominantly Hispanic. What's happened in the state of Texas over the past decade, the Democrats have gone so progressive leftists that Hispanics who used to vote for them can no longer vote for them. It turns out Hispanics want secure borders. Hispanics do not want men and women's sports. They don't want transgender ideology. They believe in God. They believe in country. And the things the Democrats stand for in the state of Texas are hostile to the Hispanic voters who at one time supported Democrats. And so what these Hispanic voters have realized is they really are more in line with the Republican Party. What we're doing by drawing the lines the way we are giving these Hispanic voters, as well as other voters, the ability to vote for their candidate of choice.
Now, what do you say in response to the Democrats deciding this is the nuclear option and they're going to do it in their states as well? Is there a real fear here that we could have a neutral impact when the Democrats get their redistricting done, or should we just call their bluff?
Well, that's a joke. Let's take Massachusetts, for example. Can they draw their lines in any way that creates more Democrat seats? No, because they have 0 Republican congressional seats. We talked about Illinois. They've contorted that map as much as they possibly can to wring out every possible Democrat seat that they can. Same thing is true for California and New York and all these other states. They got nothing but bluster. And I'll tell you why. They are very concerned because they know what's coming, and that is Texas is going to provide 5 more Republican members of Congress to ensure that the United States of America is going to continue down a conservative pathway, and there's nothing that these other Democrat governors can do about it.
Now, moving forward, we take Texas. It sounds like there's an effort to get other Republican states. There's pressure on Indiana. There's pressure on Missouri right now. I've got listeners in both states right now. What would you say to those states to get them to consider maybe they want to do mid-decade redistricting as well?
So, Eric, this is an issue. The redistricting is an issue that I've been involved in first as Attorney General for 12 years and now as Governor. So this is an issue I know well. And that is, over the past 2 decades, redistricting law has changed dramatically. Now, redistricting lines can be drawn for political purposes. And every state has the ability to do mid-decade redistricting. There's no law prohibiting that. But because laws have changed, especially the law in the state of Texas that says that coalition districts are not required, we have the ability to draw lines for political purposes, and that's exactly what's happening, and that's exactly what other states can do also.
Governor, in the time I've got left with you, I want to switch gears here away from redistricting and actually talk to you about what happened out there in July with the horrific flooding in the Hill Country and the ability of the first of all, I wasn't surprised, but it was overwhelming to see the number of people come together in Texas to deal with the mourning, the aggrieved families who lost kids and loved ones, but also the massive property destruction. I mean, what is the damage assessment out there right now from these horrific floods?
Well, first you talked about the unity and the way that Texans come together, and I spent day after day after day out in the regions that were affected by the floods, and the words that kept arising every place I went was unity and community. Texans helping Texans. As far as the damage assessments are concerned, that's something that the Texas Division of Emergency Management is working on as we speak to make sure that we have an accurate accounting of what the damages are, and then we will start deploying funds to make sure that the needs are met.
So, I mean, is there, given the amount of flooding that we've had, and I realize it's historic storms. They had these in the early 90s as well. Is there any preventative things that are on the table now to try to make sure something like this doesn't happen in the future?
Well, Eric, there are. And because they called a special session to look at those preventative measures, and because legislators have come up with some of those preventative measures, but they are not able to cast a vote on them and make them become law because the Democrats have absconded. They've run away from the state of Texas, but cannot get a law passed to put those preventative measures in place. The Democrats have to get back to Texas so we can implement those preventative measures.
Yeah, and I guess just to reemphasize this for everybody that, we're not just dealing with redistricting in this. We are dealing with the fallout of the horrific floods. And now you've got, of course, hurricane season coming as well, and got to be prepared for that down in South Texas. Your old branding line for your tourism was like Texas is a whole nother country. And to a degree, it kind of is the diversity of the ecology and the environment and the things that you have to deal with as the largest state in the continental United States. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? Never, because listen, we're up to this. Texans are up to it. And what gives me strength is the strength of my fellow Texans. This is a time when we all come together and unite, and we work to face challenges. Listen, from the very beginnings of Texas, at the Battle of the Alamo, the ethos of Texas is not being defined by the challenge that we face, but instead being defined by how we respond to those challenges. And we lost the Battle of the Alamo, but how we responded and won that war and won our independence has been the ethos of the state of Texas ever since. Well, Governor, listen, thank you for taking some time. I know you guys have been extremely busy over the last week, and we've rescheduled this several times. I just appreciate you taking some time to join me today. All the best and good luck with this session. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless your audience. You too. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. That is really important to keep in mind that this special session is not just about redistricting. They added it on to what was otherwise going to be a special session to deal with the fallout of the flooding out in the Texas Hill Country, which was just disastrous. All the kids that lost their lives. So
The Democrats, it's not getting brought up in the national conversation. Democrats in Texas are not just fleeing a special session to avoid redistricting, they're fleeing a special session to deal with the aftermath of the historic flooding in Texas and the preventative measures that could be put in place by the state to prevent it from happening again. They don't want to vote on any of it. As the governor noted, law enforcement's on the ground in Texas and outside of Texas, looking for the Democrats to round them up. And the best the Democrats have is it's a threat to democracy. It's a threat to democracy. But as the governor pointed out, in Massachusetts, the governor of Massachusetts, I don't know what the lady was thinking, but she said they may call a special session to redistrict Massachusetts. They don't have a single Republican in the Congress in Massachusetts because the Massachusetts Democrats redistricted Massachusetts as much as they did. And now today I'm learning, while the governor and I were talking, I didn't see the text message, or I would have asked him about it. A buddy of mine said, did you know in New York, they can't actually legally redistrict in New York until 2028. So Kathy Hochul is bluffing when she says so. And in California, Arnold Schwarzenegger is pledging to raise money to fight Governor Newsom if they try to change redistricting out there. Now, the big issue is for those of you listening in Missouri right now, your legislature is coming under pressure from President Trump to do mid-decade redistricting, and those of you in Indiana, J.D. Vance is there today trying to convince the governor and the legislature to redistrict. There's not a real appetite in Indiana to do it. Ralph Norman in South Carolina is asking South Carolina to finally get rid of Jim Clyburn's district. He's the only Democrat in Congress from South Carolina right now. That would be a pickup of one. It is possible to redistrict Indiana and Missouri. The one question, though, that I have is if you do redistrict by reducing the number of some Republicans in Republican districts and making them a little more swingy, does this cause catastrophic fallout for the Republicans by accident? And as you heard the governor of Texas say, in Texas, he doesn't believe that's going to be the case. Thanks to Greg Abbott for stopping by.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. New crash in Marietta, left lane block, 75 southbound, South Marietta Parkway, exit 263. Some brake lights filling in behind that. Better news if you're taking 400 southbound out of Alpharetta and Roswell towards Sandy Springs. That rolling left lane construction before Northridge Road, exit 6 is cleared. And 285 southbound, the outer loop on the west side, some delays leaving South Cobb Drive. Traffic brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Win millions playing Powerball in store or online at GALottery.com, so you can finally vacation to that luxurious island, or you could just buy it, only from the Georgia Lottery. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 2 o'clock keyword is nice. That's nice. N-I-C-E. Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword nice for your chance to win. You have until 2:59 to enter. Good luck.
The summer heat will make that crack in your wall expand. You have foundation problems. Dave Baker here. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions will find and fix your issues with a customized plan. Get your free evaluation at aquaguard.net.
AquaGuard. At Coosa Valley Credit Union, we believe in kinder banking. That means speaking to a real person, a state-of-the-art website and mobile app, and kinder banking means offering our members the most competitive rates in the market. This is Andy Harris. Come see us at Coosa Valley Credit Union.
At Jape Services, family isn't just a slogan, it's how we do business.
Our family has been helping homeowners with their heating and cooling since 1978.
And now, we're riding along just like our dad did when he was 14.
And today, we're here to help your family stay cool and comfortable. If your AC is struggling, call Jape Services for honest pricing, expert heating and cooling repair, or replacement.
Decades of experience, family-run values, service you can trust.
Let our family take care of your family.
Jape Services.
Do you have an unused vehicle sitting in your driveway? Imagine turning it into a new beginning. When you donate your car, truck, or van to Tommy Nobis Center, you're helping people with disabilities get the training and support they need to enter the workforce and build successful careers. Your vehicle donation fuels real change, giving people a chance to achieve independence and purpose. And it's easy. We'll handle everything from pickup to paperwork. Plus, it's tax deductible. Donate today at TommyNobisCenter.org. Make a difference, one vehicle at a time.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
You can save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or Canada Dry. Select varieties are $5.99 each with your digital coupon. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
It's still the greatest form of advertising, word of mouth. If we could bottle it and sell it, we'd be rich. But we can't. That's what keeps it honest. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons. From garage doors to entry doors to windows, for every opening of your home, we've got you covered. Talk to your neighbors. Chances are we've worked on their home. They'll tell you all about their 5-star experience with All Four Seasons. When trust matters, trust us. All, the number 4, seasonsgarages.com.
Skip the hassle of constantly cleaning and costly repairs and sell your home completely stress-free with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Sean Hannity here. Now's a great time to sell your home in Atlanta as home values have continued to rise and your home may be worth more than you even realize. With the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can receive the strongest cash offer in the industry and close within days. Find out what the guaranteed offer would be on your home. There's no obligation. Go to markspain.com and you can start packing.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You may not agree with him, but he tells you the truth. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Kobe and I were talking about Jasmine Crockett, the Texas congresswoman whose district would be in jeopardy if it gets redrawn in Texas. There's a New York Post story that has hit the wires. 3 sources who have worked with or for Crockett say she is rarely present in Congress when TV cameras aren't rolling, and when she does appear, she terrorizes her staff. Crockett is not often found at her government-provided suite in the Longworth House office building, with one insider saying she prefers to work from her nearby luxury apartment building, sometimes for weeks on end. She is laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them, the former aide said. She is never in the office and is very disengaged, but she does her BS that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things. A second source close to Crockett's team added, it is widely known she's not nice to staff and is just not a really dedicated member focused on constituents. She is focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress, said a third source who has worked with Crockett, describing her as all diva, no wow. One Republican on Capitol Hill says the frustrating thing is that everyone knows Crockett is playing the act of an idiot, unlike Marjorie Taylor Greene, who actually is one. Y'all know, by the way, speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, there's a lawsuit between Laura Loomer and Bill Maher. She's suing Bill Maher. Her deposition got put online before being yanked by federal courts.
And several reporters actually saw it go online and downloaded it and read it. And it turns out that Laura Loomer spills the tea on members of Congress, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who she says it is well known within the White House that the president and his team do not like Greene. Which is, I have heard similar things, and that might explain why Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's thinking of leaving the GOP and declares herself MAGA. People within the White House apparently do not like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that she's MAGA. That's for the president. So very interesting catty drama in Washington. Americans for Prosperity transcends the drama and actual public policy and putting points on the board for conservatives. They would love to have you on board with them. If you go to afpvolunteer.com, you can sign up with AFP. They've got chapters in every state. They advance freedom and common sense conservative reforms. They fight for families and school choice and deregulation for small businesses and tax reform. They were the largest outside group fighting for President Trump's tax reform plan. They'd love to have you on the team. You can go to afpvolunteer.com today. I'm on the board of advisors for AFP, and what do? They don't just have conferences around the country. They actually teach people how to be articulate when it comes to explaining conservative policies and why they work for people, so that you can talk to your neighbors, your state government, your local government. You can advocate. You can be a door knocker. You can help them get out the vote in elections, or you can just be the most informed person in your circle of friends. All you have to do is go to afpvolunteer.com. AFPvolunteer.com. Sign up with Americans for Prosperity and fight for common sense conservative reforms nationwide.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
Why do you always go after the game show host of The Price is Right?
He's your co-pilot for the ride home.
Don't tell me how to handle my life.
Eric Von Hessler.
Or anyone else.
Today at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story, a legal fight between the two Republicans in Georgia's race for governor so far. Attorney General Chris Carr's campaign files a federal lawsuit against Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones over his use of a leadership committee he says is a blatant attempt to circumvent campaign finance laws. This comes after the Carr campaign filed a complaint with the State Ethics Commission, which was later rejected. A spokesman for the Jones campaign says in response, Georgia's lackluster attorney general defended this law 2 years ago. Now he's running for governor and wants to challenge the same law he once defended. 3 out of the 5 victims from Wednesday's shooting at Fort Stewart are now out of the hospital. The accused gunman, Army Sergeant Cornelius Radford, will face the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Lieutenant General Richard Newton expects Radford will be tried on attempted murder and face significant time behind bars.
Uniform Code of Military Justice process will make sure that he gets due process, go before a general court-martial, and should be convicted, I think will face maximum penalty.
If convicted, Radford will likely be sent to Fort Leavenworth, the U.S. military penitentiary in Kansas. President Trump is directing the Commerce Department to start working on a new census. The president says people who are in the country illegally will not be counted. Even though the Atlantic hurricane season is off to a slow start, forecasters are standing behind their predictions of an active year. There have been 4 named storms so far. The National Weather Service still expects to see 5 to 9 hurricanes, 2 to 5 major hurricanes. It is 2:32. This news sponsored by FGA Roofing.
Dave Baker here for Ben Hill Renovations. My deck guys, you know it's always deck season. Host the party, watch the big game, cook out. It's all possible on your new deck from Ben Hill Renovations. Ben Hill offers a better contractor experience. Every project is built with future county and city code requirements in mind. Your project won't go over budget, and all jobs are backed by the Ben Hill Renovations workmanship warranty. See them on the web at bhrenovations.com. Ben Hill Renovations, creating raving fans since 1964.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877 Cars for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877 Cars for Kids.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call 404-390-4000. That's 404-390-4000.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
At Shane Company, we've been engagement ring experts for almost 100 years. We have the largest selection of diamonds and gemstones in stock. You don't have to wait to compare them side by side. Find the one that speaks to you at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Some better news in Marietta. Crash I-75 southbound at the south of 120 loop exit 263. Hero and police just held all lanes. Got that moved from the left lane to the right shoulder. Checking on a new slow zone. It is all stacked up. I'm seeing no traffic coming through. Actually, I-20 westbound before Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, exit 53. We're going to further investigate there if it gets worse. MLK, Joseph V. Boone, Highway 78. Some alternates. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy and an isolated pop-up shower possible this afternoon, but mainly dry, high 85. Lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds, high 84. Increasing cloud cover on Saturday, high 83.
78 now in Smyrna, 79 in Loganville, 78 in Fairburn. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 2 o'clock keyword is nice.
Oh, it's so nice to be with you. I love
That's nice. N-I-C-E.
and it's so nice to hear you say.
Go to WSBradio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword nice for your chance to win. You have until 2:59 to enter. Good luck. Howdy, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you'd like to be on the program, we got to talk about Apple. And it's Tim Cook yesterday at the White House. I know a guy, he writes about Apple stuff. He was kind of an inspiration to me to kind of break away from my law firm and be a blogger. And he's definitely to the left of me. And he and a lot of people in the Apple space are deeply disappointed with Tim Cook playing nice with Donald Trump. As I have said repeatedly, however, the CEO of Apple has an obligation to Apple shareholders. And if you must do a dog and pony show to humor Donald Trump to benefit Apple shareholders, well, then by God, you got to do it. Yesterday, Tim Cook went to the White House, presented Donald Trump with a very unique gift. It is a 24-karat gold base, which he made sure to point out, 24-karat gold base, gold from Utah, and a glass plate with an etching for Donald Trump that was made by a former Marine who works for Apple now, and he made sure to point that out, that it was a Marine who works for Apple who designed this thing for Donald Trump as a unique gift to signify the making of glass for Apple's iPhones and watches and devices in Kentucky. It was kind of embarrassing to see. I mean, it is, listen, this is going to offend a lot of you, and I don't mean to, but it's true. There's just something kind of demeaning and third worldly about all these people who feel like they got to go to the White House, genuflect in front of the President of the United States and say nice things to keep him from being angry. But this is the world we live in right now. If people were doing it to the Democrats, you would be kind of grossed out by it. And it does just seem kind of unseemly to me that a CEO of a major global company, one of the wealthiest American companies, has to go to the White House and do this kind of performance to keep Donald Trump happy. But he has to do it. because Apple, to humor Donald Trump, moved its assembly line for iPhones from China to India, and now the president has decided to engage in economic warfare with India over their buying Russian oil, and Apple, a major American company, is caught in the middle. So the president is announcing a 100% tariff on microchips not made in the country, but Apple's going to get an exception because Apple is instead investing $600 billion in the United States. Now, Mark Gurman is a writer for Bloomberg News and is probably the most well-sourced writer about Apple on planet Earth. He has incredible sources inside Apple and incredible sources who understand what goes into Apple's thinking about technology and the like. And one of the things that Gurman is pointing out is that the president is being essentially told that all of this investment is coming because of him, and the reality is that Apple was going to do it all along. This is from Mark Gurman. Apple CEO Tim Cook is using a familiar strategy to stay in Donald Trump's good graces, expanding existing initiatives to show he supports the president's Made in the USA initiative. Standing in the Oval Office on Wednesday between Trump and Vice President Vance, Cook announced that Apple will increase its U.S. commitment to $600 billion over 4 years, up from the $500 billion pledge during Trump's second-term victory. A centerpiece for the expansion is a $2.5 billion investment into Corning Inc., Apple's longtime glass supplier. For the first time, the cover glass for all iPhones and Apple Watches will be manufactured in the U.S. at Corning's facility in Kentucky. Though Apple has touted the U.S. roots of iPhone glass before, a portion of that glass was made overseas. Apple's been an investor in other countries a little bit. I won't say which ones, but a couple, and they're coming home, Trump said. The $600 billion investment, he said, is the biggest there is. The iPhone maker discussed increased agreements focused on semiconductor manufacturing, expanding deals with partners like Samsung, Texas Instruments, and Broadcom. Apple is branding the effort the American Manufacturing Program, or AMP. The agreement that Apple touted includes working with Global Wafers in Texas to produce U.S. wafers, the basis for the chips that go into the iPhone and other devices. Apple said it's partnering with Applied Materials, Inc., the biggest U.S. producer of semiconductor manufacturing equipment, to make more of that gear in Austin. But in those cases, Apple will be on the sidelines rather than building the machinery and components itself. Expanding a partnership with Texas Instruments to support the manufacturing of chips in Utah and Texas. The facilities will make components that ultimately go into the iPhone and other devices shipped around the world. It's also teaming up with Samsung to create new chips in Texas that can boost the power and performance of devices. It'll have a deal with Global Foundries to boost U.S. manufacturing of wireless technologies and power manufacturing components in New York. It's investing in an Arizona facility run by Amkor Technologies that tests and packages chips. The facility will handle Apple-bound silicon made in partnership with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company at a nearby plant. In all, the announcements provided just enough evidence that Apple is focused on America without forcing it to make major changes. Corning has supplied Apple since 2007. Cook has long promoted the iPhone's American-made glass. What's new is the modestly increased scale. Apple is pointing to the deals as it seeks relief from looming tariffs. The Trump administration is letting exemptions on smartphones and gadget levies expire and adopting new duties on Indian imports, a potential issue for Apple, which has shifted iPhone assembly to India. Cook even seized on Trump's famous love of gold. He presented the president with a large circular Corning glass plaque engraved with the president's name, mounted in 24-karat gold. The Apple CEO said the glass came off the assembly line in Kentucky while the gold was produced in Utah. Cook added a former Marine who works at Apple designed the plaque. Trump announced a major enticement. He said companies investing in the U.S. will get a break on tariffs. That's good news for companies like Apple if you're building in the U.S. or committed to build. There will be no charge. Now, that's the reading of the word from Mark Gurman, who's well-placed, but his point is this. A lot of this Apple was going to do anyway. It's been planning on an expansion with Corning in Kentucky for a while. It already has these facilities in Texas and Arizona. It committed $500 billion. It's committing $100 billion more. Here's what sets Apple apart from a lot of other companies doing this, though. Many of the companies that have come to Donald Trump, performed in front of him in the Oval Office, and said, we're going to invest bajillions and trillions and mega millions, say they're going to do it over 10 years. You talk to people in the Trump White House, and privately they acknowledge a couple things. One, a lot of this is done to humor Donald Trump, and two, a lot of this is never going to happen. And three, that which is going to happen was already happening, and they've just repackaged it for Donald Trump. Remember, some of the deals and some of the companies that are coming forward came forward during the Biden administration and were already doing stuff. What sets Apple apart uniquely among all these companies is Apple is committed to doing it before Donald Trump leaves office. That's really, really, really significant. Unlike a lot of these Emirati companies, Saudi Arabian companies, Korean companies, Israeli companies, Apple, the American company, is saying we're going to spend $600 billion in the United States before Donald Trump leaves office in 2028. That makes it a very big deal. What Apple is not saying is that they were going to do most of this anyway. Some of it is new. Of the $600 billion Apple's spending, $200 billion of it is new spending. The other $400 billion Apple was already committed to doing before Donald Trump came into office. Very smartly, Tim Cook and Apple, who are brilliant marketers, remarketed it as money spent during Donald Trump's 4 years in office. Good for Apple. It's good for the American economy. It's going to be great for a place like Kentucky, where the Corning plant that had no shot at going out of business because of what it does is going to be expanded within the next 4 years, not a 10-year timeline. Apple has, to the extent that it's doing this, sped up the timeline. The money was going to be spent already, and it was already going to be spent in Kentucky, and it was already going to be spent at the factory. But what Apple is doing is saying, we're going to speed up the timeline. And please, Mr. President, don't saddle us with tariffs. We moved our iPhones out of China to India, and now you're going to impose tariffs on India. Please exempt us. And it sounds like Donald Trump is going to do that. It sounds like what Donald Trump is doing is humoring Apple because Tim Cook did the performance that he needed to do. Now, for those of you on the left who may be listening, yeah, I acknowledge, accept, repeat, and know it is unseemly that an American company has to go to the White House, do a song and dance in front of the president to get exemptions from tariffs. It's very third world. It is. And I'm sorry if that offends you on the right because you love Donald Trump. It is a very third world thing to have to do. But it had to be done, and it worked. And the result is that Apple probably is going to get all sorts of exemptions from tariffs that it needs to be able to be competitive in this landscape. Apple can't actually make investments in this country over the next 4 years without Donald Trump helping them on the tariffs that single-handedly Donald Trump can control. You can find it unseemly, and if I'm honest, I find it unseemly. The president this morning tweeted that Intel CEO needs to be fired because the Intel CEO has announced 25,000 layoffs, and the president doesn't want layoffs on his watch. So the result is that he is out bashing Intel. Intel stock has fallen. Here at the end of the day, the markets are all down. The Dow down 341 points. The S&P down 28 points. NASDAQ down 51 points. The Russell 2000 down 16 points, in large part because of all the new tariffs starting and the president's criticisms of Intel and things like that. I don't think presidents of the United States should be that invested day to day in the operations of private sector companies. But this is the world we live in. Today is the 200th day of Donald Trump's tenure in office. 200 days. It's exhausting for people. You know, there's more and more research out there that everybody's kind of tired of talking about Donald Trump all the time. I myself, as a radio show host, trying to remind myself that you can't make everything about Donald Trump. One, there's a lot of other news out there, but two, also, it's getting kind of exhausting for people. Even Trump supporters are kind of exhausted with everything being about Trump because not everything is. Where Tim Cook is smart and where Apple is smart is knowing when you need to make it about Trump and when you don't. And with Donald Trump imposing unique tariffs on goods coming from India, Apple having moved its supply chain to India, Apple needed to make it about Donald Trump. What's more interesting is this, and I don't think we should overshadow this before we get out of here. The glass that Corning makes in Kentucky is a unique product that can't really be matched anywhere else. It's not that the United States doesn't do manufacturing anymore. It's that the manufacturing the United States does is way more technical than it used to do. We don't have sock factories anymore. My desk, you can't see my desk. If you're on live stream, it's an L-shaped desk. The wood for my desk, there's a, you may be familiar with Sons of Sawdust. And the owner of the company made my desk. The wood that my hands are on right now is wood from a sock manufacturing facility in Nashville, Tennessee that no longer exists. The building was torn down. Sons of Sawdust tore the building down. They preserved the wood. This wood that my hands are on right now is from the sock factory that made the socks for the Apollo 11 mission to the moon. The iron, it's got steel and iron bars underneath it holding it up. The iron and steel comes from the sock factory that made the socks that Neil Armstrong wore on the moon. It's a very cool desk. It doesn't look like much till you know the history of where the wood and steel came from and where the iron came from. We don't make those technical products anymore because it's not really hard to make those products anymore. What is very hard to do is to make the glass for an iPhone. And those technical products are still made in the United States, and Apple is going to expand that production in the United States. Donald Trump is going to get the credit for it. Apple, behind the scenes, is whispering, we were going to do this anyway. But they're going to do it with Donald Trump, and they're going to give Donald Trump credit, and that's going to help him in the polling. It's going to help people in Kentucky. It's going to help Apple get out of tariffs. It's going to be a good thing. So it was worth Tim Cook doing what he did in the White House yesterday, whether people like it or not. It helps Apple. It helps Americans. It helps Donald Trump. Everybody's a winner here. And when everybody's a winner, it's real hard to complain about it. But some people, by God, they still will just because they hate Donald Trump. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm, you can buy 3 of them and save $200. They are an odor eliminator, air purifier for sure, but really an odor eliminator. You buy 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms, you save $200. You go to EdenPureDeals.com and you put in the discount code ERIC3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com. Now, what does it do? Well, it definitely gets rid of dust and pollen floating in the air that passes through it. It kills 99.9% of bacteria and viruses that flow through it. But it also generates ozone that flows out into the room, and it touches ionized particles that are the odors you and I would otherwise smell, and it wipes them out. No odor can stand up to it. Oily odors, musty odors, litter box odors, smoke odors, dirty diaper odors, you name it. You got an area of your house that stinks, get an Eden Pure Thunderstorm, put it in there, close the door, let it do its magic. It wipes out the odors. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3. You get 3 of them. You save $200. Get them for upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your travel bag, your RV. You can hold it in your hand, plug it in with a USB cord, plug it into the wall, and it just works to wipe out odors. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code, ERIC3.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
251 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Delays improved on the West Freeway where we had all lanes temporarily held. 20 westbound Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, exit 53. Everything back open there. It's getting slower for the afternoon into downtown, southbound from the 85-400 merge. And all jammed up on Claremont Road right around, North Druid Hills Road and Claremont Road. All that area, all jammed up due to construction. Traffic brought to you by YRefi.com. Is private student loan debt ruining your life? It doesn't have to. Just go to YRefi.com. That's YREFY.com and get your life back. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursday. Your chance to win $1,000 every hour today until 4 p.m. The 2 o'clock keyword is NICE. That's NICE. NICE. Go to WSBRadio.com or the WSB Radio app and enter the keyword NICE for your chance to win. You have until 2:59 to enter. Good luck.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, every week on the show, we offer folks something we call the Portfolio X-Ray I was hoping you could walk us through that process and tell us why the information it uncovers is so powerful.
Yeah, so the reason we love doing the portfolio x-ray for you is we do that behind the scenes. Everybody's extremely busy. Nobody wants to waste time in traffic. If you call in, we will ask you for some information via the phone. Once you've given us that information, we go to work and we put all the hours in developing the report. And I commit this to you. The portfolio x-ray is eye-opening. At least 90+% of the time, we can find 2 or 3 golden nuggets in there that you were not aware of that we can either change in your current portfolio mix for you. It's called a 401k optimizer. Or if we manage the assets for you, we certainly can recommend how to diversify away from some of the troubling points that are exposed during the portfolio x-ray. Once we've got that, then we'll have you in for your initial consultation. We will present the portfolio x-ray to you and walk you through the high points of it. And that's a document that you get to take with you. It's like getting a financial physical. So how many of you avoided going to the doctor for the annual physical last year? You do the same thing with your financial life. You ignore it. You keep pumping money into your 401k. You hope that it's going well, and I can tell you that hope is not a good investment or financial planning strategy. You need to know. So if you want to know, call us.
The Portfolio X-ray is complimentary. Give Hoffman Financial Group a call to schedule yours today. 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Serving my country required sacrifice. Sacrifice that changed my life forever. I remember the day I came home. Because of my injuries, this house wasn't right for me anymore. I remember the narrow doorways, the small bathrooms, the shelves out of reach when in my wheelchair. Every day was full of obstacles. I felt trapped. I remember a better day, the day my family received a specially adapted custom home from Homes for Our Troops. That day changed everything. Now we have a safe and accessible home to enjoy the freedom I fought for. This place, our home, is exactly what we needed to rebuild our lives.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Hello there, it is Eric Erickson here. Glad to have you with me. All right, this is wild to me. It has been 7 months since the Pacific Palisades caught fire in Los Angeles. This, just government incompetence. 7 months ago, we watched as the Pacific Palisades burned to the ground out in Los Angeles. There was that reservoir that had not been filled. There were water pressure issues. It was winds and weather and so much more. 7 months ago, 2 permits have now been approved. 2 permits for development. That's just wild to me that we've got 2 permits. You know what's remarkable here is that there are a vast number of people who are saying this is false, this is false. There are more permits. You're looking at the wrong map. Except no. There's a map listing the permits renewed in the area that burned down, and there have only been 2. I'm disturbed by this, and obviously Californians get the government they vote for. But the ability to rebuild, it just, remember the bridge that got knocked out in Baltimore, in Maryland. It was the Francis Scott Key Bridge got taken out. You know, they have even started rebuilding this major bridge in Pennsylvania. The governor there rallied resources to get a bridge that had collapsed rebuilt very quickly. In Georgia, they were able to rebuild I-85 very quickly after homeless people set fires underneath the bridge, weakened the support, and it collapsed. In Florida, after hurricanes, Ron DeSantis is able to get bridges rebuilt in weeks, maybe months, depending on the damage. You can't rebuild in Maryland. You can't rebuild homes in California. The more progressive an area is, the more impossible it is for people to rebuild after destruction. The Democrats want to talk about abundance now. That's their big strategy. We got to make things abundantly available and cheap. They can't renovate and restore after damage. Progressive areas regulate. And the regulation stifles people. It is the big difference between conservative areas and progressive areas in this country. Progressives simply do not wish to rebuild America, and that's a problem for them moving forward.
Don't be late because you crowdsourced your commute with a navigation app.
This might become a travel advisory. Yeah, they're in 2 left lanes.
Depend on us.
See some delays if they shut that ramp down.
Make sure you get where you need to be on time.
Jam starting at Langford Parkway, getting past Spring Street.
Local and dependable traffic 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We had a lot going on this morning through Henry County.
WSB Triple Team Traffic.
95.5 WSB. How Atlanta gets there. WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
I am a big fan of business owners being able to pass on to you and me the cost that they have to pay for accepting a credit card from you and me. Why? Because we have the highest credit card processing fees in the world because of the Visa and MasterCard cartel. It's unbelievable the fees that it costs businesses. But then businesses have to do this honestly. Do you know about this thing going on at gas stations where you pull in, you see the price on the sign, you pay with a credit card, and suddenly your bill for your gasoline is much higher? Why? Because there are dishonest gas stations charging as much as $1 extra a gallon when you pay with a credit card. So pay close attention when you decide you're going to pay with credit, what you actually have to pay. I'm Clark Howard.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. Georgia's race for governor is already getting nasty. Attorney General Chris Carr files a federal lawsuit against Republican rival Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones over his use of a leadership committee.
The lawsuit points to a 2022 federal court ruling that leadership committees cannot be used during primary elections when one candidate has access and the other does not. Carr campaign manager Neil Bidding tells me this is about ensuring a level playing field.
So what we're doing is going to court to make sure that the law is upheld and that the rules are applied.
In response, the Jones campaign is accusing Carr of hypocrisy because he defended the law in 2022 in his official capacity. A Jones campaign spokeswoman saying of Carr, quote, "If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, he'd take gold." Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
81 degrees in Atlanta, mostly dry for this afternoon. Only a few pop-up storms possible. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. 6 hero soldiers are honored today by